everyone. Hello, and welcome to Regina and Friends Crime Chat. I'm your host, Regina, and with us today we have Crystal and Sammy. How are you ladies doing?
I
Awesome.
am well. I'm well.
Uh,
Sammy, how are you?
I am awesome.
Mhm.
I woke up today.
Amen. Amen. Every morning we wake up is a blessing. Every
Yeah.
morning. And it seems here with us today, well, it doesn't seem that way. It looks like, and we know we have. Low 12. Hey, it's good to see you, beautiful, in the lovely Midwest.
Hi,
Yeah.
ladies.
Hello, hello,
Hi.
hello, Midwest.
My lovely mods, my lovely, lovely mods. Beautiful people. All of you ladies are beautiful people. Um, well, today, I just want to go over a few things in the Sebastian Rogers case. Y'all know I went digging into the laws and stuff, and I have some information about the Sebastian Rogers case that we're going to go over. But first, I would like to talk about the thing everyone's talking about, this alleged sighting of Sebastian Rogers. Okay. So before we go over it and get into the photo and everything, I would like to ask your ladies' opinion on what you think about the photo and its legitimacy and if it's Sebastian.
You go
We'll
first.
start. No, we'll start with you, Sammy.
Well, honestly, of course, my heart is just hoping and praying that's him. I don't feel like that picture is any kind of fake or phony. If anything, it could be old, but I'm hoping and praying that really is him. But then after talking to you, also discovered that there's a chance that there's other children out there with what he has that may look just like him based on their genetics.
Yes. Um, for everyone who doesn't know, my son has mosaic angel man syndrome, which is a type of uh, depletion of an allele of his chromosomes. And there are certain characteristics whenever children have chromosomal issues or depletions, or whenever the chromosome isn't active because of the allele missing, whenever it doesn't activate or whenever it's depleted. There, and I'm not saying that all children have the same characteristics spread out among those characteristics and features, but it is common for children who have um, chromosomal depletions to have certain facial characteristics that are similar. Um, and this is backed up by research, and I'll actually do a video and make a short on it. Um, I really don't want to get too much into the medical aspects of it, but I think it's important in this case, possibly because of this photo coming out. My son is handsome, first of all. My son is gorgeous, but he does have features that are related to his chromosomal depletion or his allele depletion of his chromosome, um, such as the broad jaws. Broad jaws is one of them. Another characteristic that is common is, of course, the blue eyes. Um, but there can be imbalances in the symmetry and structure of the face, from one side to the other. And a lot of times, whenever children do have these chromosomal depletions and allele depletions or inactivation of the allele. So this is actually something that is common. It's not concrete. It's not 100% if your child has a chromosomal issue or an allele issue. It's not 100% fact that they are going to have. Oh, are you okay, honey? Oh. It's not a 100% fact that they are going to have these facial abnormalities, but it is a significant possibility. Okay. But let me just pull this up on screen real quick. And that was very interesting, Sammy, of you to to bring to my attention because it was something I know to be true about my son with his chromosome issue. He wasn't. My son only received a partial chromosome from his father.
Mhm.
That's what led to his mosaic Angelman syndrome. Um, which part of a chromosome is an allele, and that's what he's missing, an allele. He's not missing a full chromosome. There are um,
So there's so many
other
variations. There's so many variations of this with the autism that there's only a small group that are may favor each other, over that. But
yes.
see, what got me to wondering about that and asking you, because when I was like 12, I was an advocate for a small community of Down syndrome, and it
Hmm.
was young adults. And my grandfather ran the place, and I remember asking him when I first started. I asked him, were they all brothers and sisters? Because they all favored each other. And he said, no, that is the Down syndrome. And he explained it to me. And that's how I started learning about things like that. And I was like, oh, now I get it. And so when this came up, this picture, that kept crossing my mind, that is it possible that there could be another 100 kids that look exactly like him who are in his age group with the same thing he has? So, and you kind of verified that's a possibility for me. So I appreciate it.
Crystal, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm going to remove your other one and
Yep.
leave
Thank
this
you.
one up. Yes, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay. Let me just kick that one from the studio. There
Sorry
we
about
go.
that.
No, you're fine. I understand. Um, there are certain, and Sammy, you're very right to bring that up because there are known certain physical characteristics and certain chromosomal issues among certain groups of people. And these can actually be used as identifiers a lot of times to lead to the testing to find out exactly what chromosomal issue these children have. And as you said, it's like with children with Down syndrome, they have facial and physical characteristics that are common among children with Down syndrome. That's
Yeah.
very true. But here's the thing I wanted to get into today. Um, oh, I forgot to pull up that other picture. Hold on, let me pull up that other picture of Sebastian. Compare this to. Now, I do not know if this is Sebastian Rogers in this photograph, but I have several issues with this photograph, and we're going to address those today. Let me find the one picture. Let's see if I can find it. Do any of you readily have the picture of Sebastian Rogers in the the yellow cowboy shirt, his latest, the latest one? I have it in here somewhere, but it's gonna
I
take.
don't.
Oh,
I would have to
okay.
get down and go look for it.
You know what? I think that's actually in our general. Oh, big news, everyone! We're opening up a Discord server for members only. We will be opening up a Discord server for members only. Um, uh, we should have it up and running by Friday. These things take a little bit of time, but we are going to be opening up a Discord server for members only. Also, something else. I'm working on merch. I was hoping to have it done in 2 weeks. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. um, okay, let me see if I can find it in general. Let's see here.
For me,
But
this
we are going.
picture. Oops, sorry.
Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can. Here it. Oh, it's not a yellow shirt. Okay, here we go. Holy smokes, you guys! I don't know.
I put one in general, and it's just a close up with a off like a pale yellow shirt.
I have him in his brown shirt too. Let me check which one that is, Sammy, real quick. You guys give me just 1 second. I'm so sorry.
For me,
Hey, it's all right. Go ahead. I'm
When
listening.
I look at the picture or the supposed picture or the possible picture, I look at it and I see similarities, definitely. But I mean, I'm hopeful that it is him because that means he's being well taken care of. He's not being abused. He seems healthy, well fed. I mean, in my opinion, if that's him, if it's a current photo. But
Yeah.
there are definitely similarities, but there's also things that are slightly off, but those could
Uh-huh.
be pretty important slightly offs, if that makes any sense.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
And it does make sense. It makes total sense. I am hopeful. I am hopeful that this is a photo of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers because it means he is alive and he is apparently healthy in good health. It would seem from this photo, um, and that someone is taking care of him. Now, here are a couple of things I want to point out about this photo, real quick. I think I have it pulled up on screen. I do. Okay, the here's one of the issues I have with this photo, though, and it being Sebastian. If you will notice on the screen, the person in this photograph, if you look at the hairline right here, where I'm circling with my mouse, this person in this photo has a much higher hairline, natural hairline, than Sebastian does. And his sideburns are not as low and prominent in this photo as they are with his other photo. And I'll show that to you here in just a moment. Um, and here's something, another problem. I just want to state another problem I have with this photo before we continue any further. If this is Sebastian in this sighting photo, we have a big problem with people not calling 911 and interacting with Sebastian to try to keep him there. If they really thought it was Sebastian, they did not take the steps that I would take and what I'm seeing a lot of other people would take as well in contacting authorities immediately and sticking around to try to recover this missing child. Because if you can grab your phone and pull it out and take a picture of someone that you think is a missing child, why did you not take just as much time? Because it takes, you can dial 911 and have a 30-second phone conversation. Okay. Now think about how long it takes to get your phone out. Well, no, because I guess you on certain phones you can click the apps. No, she was on an iPhone. Well, here's the whole thing. If you're going to take your phone out and you're going to take a picture of a child you think is a missing child, why aren't you on the phone with 911?
Right.
And
Well, I do have a quick question. How long
uh,
before she reported it? And how did she report it? Wasn't it on
well,
Facebook?
it is on Facebook, and I'm actually part of that group that this was posted to.
Mm-hmm.
And allegedly, the reason she just snapped the photo and ran was because she was late for a family event, a
But
family
this is
gathering.
a possible missing child.
Exactly.
See, and that's what gives me doubt that it is Sebastian. Because if you truly thought that it was, why would you even leave? Like, you could, you're rescuing a missing child.
Hmm.
Regardless if they're in good, being taken well care for, they're missing. So I just, that's what makes me think maybe it's not a legitimately him.
Side. Right. Right.
That's probably the biggest reason I think it's not him for me.
Well, in this, and I just want to share something real quick. In this photo, let me pull it up, of Sebastian, and we know this is actually, without a doubt, a picture of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Do you see how wide his jaw lines are? His jawline. And this is the most recent picture of Sebastian. And do you see where his look? Do you see how wide his jaws are?
Yep.
Okay. Now look at the hairline where his sideburns are. Do you see how close his sideburn runs to his eye line?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, if you look in this other photo that is the alleged sighting of Sebastian, tell me if you notice something different. Let me pull it up real quick. I should have put these side by side. I really should have. I didn't, and I should have. I apologize for that, y'all. Um, right here. Do you notice anything about his sideburn and his hairline
Yeah,
right
that
here?
hairline goes a little further back towards the
It
ear
goes,
than the
yes,
eyebrow.
absolutely. And in the picture of Sebastian, his hair is shorter, if that is, a recent sighting of Sebastian. His hair is shorter in the photo that I have up on screen now, than it would be in the alleged photo of him. But that is his natural hairline to the corner of his hair where his bangs are cut. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you'll notice the distance from his sideburn to the corner of his eye and to the corner of his eyebrow is much more different and further away than in this photo. Let me pull it back up. Get a real good look at the photo I have up now. And remember the distance from the eye to the hairline. Okay. And in this photo, this person has longer hair than in this photo that we can confirm is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Do you see the sideburn to the hairline right here? Sebastian's hair would be shorter in this photo than it is in the most recent photo. And the hairline to the eye is much shorter in Sebastian's actual photo and the photo that is being sent around on social media than the Facebook one that was posted.
The real bummer is because of the angle and that child is looking down, um, it makes it difficult to really truly compare enough.
Right. Well, the thing for me, the real kicker on that one is with him looking down, like if the picture I'm showing you now is a recent photo of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, okay, the most recent photo we have, which would put him at around the age he is right now. This picture on Facebook, in my opinion, would have to be much older because the hairline has receded much further back on the sideburns. Well, this one. Do you see right here?
Yeah.
There's like that's a long distance from his sideburn hairline to his eyes in comparison to the known photos of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And everyone wants to say, well, look at this little peak in the front of his hairline. Look at the peak right here. I know, Crystal, you and Sammy have seen pictures of my son.
Yes.
And
Yep.
what did you notice about my son that
His
if you
cow,
compared
the cowlick for one.
exactly in the same place with the peak,
Right.
the hair coming down, everything?
It's very hard. Like, I just, if the angle was just a little bit, but it's always like if the angle is just a little bit, but I don't know. It's still hard for me. Like I said, I see similarities, but there are definitely things that I just make it hard to believe.
Uh-huh. Well, here's something else. I wanted to share. Let me pull up the right photo. Here it is. Okay. I want y'all to see something. Everyone's talking about these shoes, right? Everyone's talking about these shoes. in the alleged sighting of Sebastian. Well, let me explain something to y'all. These shoes on Sebastian's feet right here are not the same shoes in the alleged sighting of Sebastian. If you'll notice right here, let me zoom in, see if I can get any closer and show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Now I have looked into this, and these shoes right here are Skechers. They are older. They are 2022 to 2022 Skechers shoes. And not only that, but they are, as y'all can see right here, what are these? What I'm with my arrow. Can y'all see that?
Shoelaces.
Those are, in
Woohoo.
fact, shoelaces. These are men's Skechers lace up walking shoes from 2021 to 2023, and they came in a variety of colors. But do you notice this right here, too? The black tongue of the lace up shoe. Now, look at this. Let's go back to the alleged photo of Sebastian's shoes that everyone's talking about these shoes now. So I think it's really important that we go over this. These are not the same shoes. Do you notice something about these?
They're slide on shoes.
Exactly. These are walking slide on Skechers shoes, and they are new. These are 2023 to 2024 instead of the 2022 to 2023 Skechers. And not only that, but I am suspicious of these shoes because while I can find Skechers that have the white logo on them, what I cannot find are the Skechers with the black lace groove that because you can tighten these. What these Skechers are right here that you're looking at is they have like a parachute pull cord that you can tighten. You know what I'm talking about, the pull cord tightening mechanism. That's what these
Oh yeah.
Skechers have that you're looking at now.
Can I point something out real quick?
Yes,
So, as we talked about earlier, too, remember the big hubbub about he left with no shoes? So, if he all his shoes were accounted for, how could those shoes possibly be the same? They wouldn't be, right? Which means if it is in fact Sebastian, those shoes would have been purchased for him because he left the house with no shoes.
he would need shoes, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. And this is devil's advocate, I guess, for me playing into this, but if Sebastian did need a pair of shoes, I'm just going to tell you from my experience with my son, who is autistic, mosaic angel man syndrome. Autism is one of the symptoms of his uh, allele depletion. Um, my son will only wear specific brands of shoes. He only likes specific brands of shoes. That's what's comfortable for him. That's what he knows is shoes. So if Sebastian, and I'm not saying he is like my son, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if he is similar to my son and he is set on specific shoes being comfortable for him and stuff, considering that we were told that in this photograph, Sebastian looked comfortable with the people he was around and then looked healthy. Okay. If they did purchase these shoes for him, then Sebastian would be able to. They said he was verbal and stuff and whatnot. And from everything I've understood from what Seth has said about Sebastian, then Sebastian was vocal and he would know what he liked and didn't like, right? Sebastian would be able to go into just like my son can go into we buy most of our shoes at Foot Locker, not Foot Locker, but Rack Room Shoes and Shoe Carnival, right? And there's one other place from the mall, but I can't think of the name of it. But my son always goes with one or two brands. It's either Nikes or it's Adidas. Okay. But whenever he goes and picks out his shoes, he'll go straight to where he knows they are in any of those stores, and he will look for the exact same style, the exact same color. You know what I mean? That's what he's comfortable with. So if this is someone that has Sebastian, and I'm not saying this is, and I'm not saying this isn't, because we have no definitive proof one way or another that this is a photo of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. But if it is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, it makes sense to me why he would be wearing a similar style of shoes if someone did purchase him those shoes. Because as we know, according to Chris and Katie Proudfoot, Sebastian was barefoot the night that he left, just like you said, Crystal. What do you guys think about that?
We can only go off of the information that's been provided and trust that it's the truth, you know.
So I'm just going to say that I think that if he left the house with no shoes, then he would have been bought shoes. So, I mean, if that's the case, then the picture of Sebastian that we're looking at wouldn't be wearing the same shoes because his shoes are at home. And I get
Yeah,
what you're saying, the similar, but they would look new. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. They would look new because wouldn't have had any. He'd need shoes.
well, these shoes in this photo are newer shoes than the other photo. These are a newer style of Skechers.
Mm-hmm.
Skechers are comfy. So
Oh, they're so comfy.
I could see someone, buying the shoes for him and getting him to wanting, being okay wearing them because they're very comfortable. Just had to
Well,
throw that in.
well, not to mention if it was the style that he liked, and they're caring for Sebastian and taking if he's comfortable with them, then they would know and they would want him to have something that he's familiar with and would like.
Yeah.
Exactly. If they're actually taking care of him and care about him, if this is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, which I have my doubts, but I'm not convinced it's not, and I'm not convinced it is, if that makes sense. But I'm
Yes.
noticing similarities and I'm noticing differences too, which to me leaves me with the conclusion it's possible.
Right.
It's possible this is Sebastian. Do I think this is a photo personally of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? My answer is I pray so. That's the only answer I can give you. I'm praying that this is an actual photo of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers in North Carolina. I'm praying it is. I think we all are. I hope we all are. Um,
Yeah, it's given me hope. I hope and I pray this is not some old photo that somebody put out there just to get some attention. That makes me sad, but I'm praying to God this is him and that he can be found.
If
yes,
this photo is legit, then it is good. It is good. That means he's healthy and alive and out there and being taken care of. I mean, he's still not found, but we know that he's alive and he's okay. And that gives us more hope to get out there and look for him and find
right.
him.
But I want to show y'all something else in this picture I noticed last night, and I could be wrong about this. I'm not an expert. But in order for this photo to be legitimate, there would have to be two different light sources in this photograph. Because let me show you something, okay? If you will look at the person behind Sebastian, you can see shadowing right here on this person's side, right? And if you'll notice on the woman's pants, all the shadows are behind, right? And if you look right here in the shadow line, right here, all the way down on the post, it goes all the way to the ground, right? That shadow does. But look here. In order for that means that the light source is over here up in the sky somewhere, right? Facing downwards. Like if you were looking to your right and downwards, that is the where the light source is coming from in this photograph, correct? Now look at Sebastian's shoulder or look at the possible photo of Sebastian. Do you notice something right here on his shoulder? Do y'all see the white outline between the man's hair behind him and his shoulder? That means there is a significant light source, or this shirt has some serious fade issues in areas. Because if this is a legitimate photo, how is there a shadow running across which lightens this corner right here where my arrow is? Right here, the shadow should be and going straight down. But then there's not a shadow across Sebastian's arm, if this is Sebastian. Do you see what I'm getting at here?
I see it, and it's sketchy, but
Yep,
I
it's
I don't know.
sketchy.
It's just
In my
too
opinion,
too
it's sketchy. But here's
too
another
much.
problem I have with this photo. Where is the rest of Sebastian's jaw and head right here? There's a divot. Let me zoom in even more. See if I can. I don't know that I can. Look right here between the glasses and the tree line. There is a divot right here on the side of his head in this photograph. Do you see it? See the glasses right here where my arrow is? Right here. Now look, there's no flesh. There's a divot in this photo right here. Do you see it? From his glasses line to his jawline, and his jawline comes back out right here. But there's
Hmm,
like from his ear. Do you see it?
I do. But something, all of this could be chalked up to anywhere from somebody, inserted images on top of another image, or it could be a poor quality of camera. And my husband has an iPhone, and I hate the camera on it. It sucks. I don't like it. It's nowhere near as good as mine, and I have Samsung, so I don't put too much into that. I did initially when that picture popped up online. I started, scoping out every single thing about it, including that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I just, I don't know. It's just, there's too many different variables that can be playing, making flaws in there as far as the quality of the camera. Is it really, somebody edited this? Who knows? We do have a comment from Come Crime With Me. She says, I do graphics for a living and I don't think it's real. There should be a shoe shadow. That shadow is not from a shoe stepping down. Okay. There should be a shoe shadow that is not from the shoe stepping down. Hmm. I think you're muted.
You're right, I am. um, sorry about that, you guys. If you look at this shadowing of the shoe, and then look at this shadow is in correlation to the shoe where it should be, but this shoe shadow angle is straight up and down, and it should be more at an angle on the concrete like this, in my opinion.
Yeah, it should carry the same angle as all the
Look,
other
it does
shadows, right?
exactly. Look at this. Look at this right here. This shoe angle. Do you see it?
Yeah,
See how it's the
that's
first thing
strange.
you learn about whenever you take advanced art in high school or really anywhere. Hold on, my birds are going nuts. Y'all hear my birds screeching? Um, my parrot. Um,
Well, the
So
funny thing
whenever,
is, you see a shadow also from that roof, from that whatever the covering is.
uh-huh,
So why would you have it more? Yeah, I am so confused.
I'm so confused by this photo. Not only that, but this angle that this foot is stepping looks so unnatural to me. Like the way the ankles, I don't know. It doesn't look natural to me personally. I'm praying that it is Sebastian, but the biggest issue I have is right here on his shoulder. This puts a light source over his shoulder. If you look at this white strip on his
Now
shoulder,
that's really awkward. Yeah.
very awkward. Very awkward, in my opinion. Because the light source, as y'all can tell from the shadow angling, all of the shadows, you see what I'm saying, should be, look at this shoe.
Well, you
Like
would think that most
that
shadows
shadow doesn't
within this
even add up.
picture should carry the same sort of angle because your sun is coming from one place. So everything that casts a shadow should cast it at a general like angle, the same angle.
Correct. And right here, this white, do you see right here between the gentleman, whoever's behind him, and right here? This puts a secondary light source with this right here. If this is part of that shirt, that puts a secondary light source, or this shirt has severe fading on different parts of it. I just, I don't know. It doesn't add up for me. I could be wrong. I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional with photos and videos, but in my opinion, it looks weird. I'm not going to say it's not legitimate. Like I said, I'm not a professional. But in my opinion,
Well, is it me or is that post also a little bit questionable? Because if you look at the guy behind him, it looks like that post carries straight up, carries on, but at the same time, that guy is like, it's like opaque where the guy is on
right
that
here,
edge. Yeah, that's just weird. Or is it just the shadow? I don't know. See, I'm so confused. I can't
well, this
even.
guy would have to be half hunched over, stepping forward at an angle because he has no. I mean, he would have to be just as thin as Sebastian, first of all, if this is
I could sit
Sebastian's
here
photo.
and pick this apart all day long. I mean, just out of principle, out of curiosity, and the not knowing, it just is very baffling in a sense that I don't know. I'm
It
still on
just,
the fence.
I have questions about this photo. But what I don't have questions about is the Tennessee law. Now, everyone is talking about, is this a criminal investigation? Is this not a criminal investigation? Well, let me explain a few things about Tennessee law. Do y'all know what the first thing you have to have in Tennessee is to even have a reason to file for a search warrant?
PC
A
A.
PC, uh-huh, a probable cause affidavit. Okay. So I would like to pull up for everyone. Everyone wants to know if this is a criminal. I think this is 100% a criminal investigation. And I'm going to show you why I believe this is a criminal investigation. Okay. This is the Tennessee courts.gov webpage. And these are preliminary proceedings. Okay. And this, well, is it this one? Hold on a second. Let me go to this. Is it the preliminary proceedings I want to pull up? Okay, here we go. I got the wrong one pulled up. Give me just a second. I've got a couple of these opened up because I want to share all of these legal procedures with you.
I mean,
I do.
if it was an abduction, sorry, Sammy,
No, go ahead.
then
Oh,
that would be a criminal. offense. So it is going to be a criminal case if he is found alive, and if that isn't him in the picture, because it's a criminal taking him out of state lines. I mean, there's a whole bunch of criminal things in there, I would think. But I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, these are all crimes also.
I think it's fair to say that there's not a chance in the world that child walked out of that house by himself and just ran off. I know that they have said that he has done it before as far as hiding under the neighbor's car and stuff like that. I get that. But I don't think
Well, the front
that
one
he would
here.
have had the capacity to hide from and outrun everybody that's been looking for him, to be honest with you. If he was just out there running away on his own, kind of a thing, you know,
If
like,
anything, I at the
yeah.
beginning thought that maybe somebody, maybe he talked to at school or something, may have been like, oh, this, just from everything that's maybe
Hmm.
Sebastian reported, that they took him to get him in a better environment, or what they thought. Not that it is a better environment, but some people perceive things differently. So
Right.
that's why I said at the beginning of this case, if somebody does have him, just, you know, bring him back, drop him off at a safe spot where he'll be found, and something. I mean, I,
Yeah, enough attention has come to this case that
right,
somebody is going to ensure that he is placed safely under the care of someone that's actually going to care for him, you know.
exactly.
Okay.
And I
I would
mean,
like,
whoops, sorry,
you
go ahead.
guys, I hate to interrupt you, but I really want to go over these codes before we go any further because I think this is very important to discuss. Okay. It says Universal Citation, Tennessee Code 40 6 103. And this was written in 2021, and I haven't found any change in the code as of yet. A search warrant can only be issued on probable cause, supported by affidavit naming or describing the person and particularly describing the property and the place to be searched. Okay, so that's the first part of that I want to show y'all. Now, I want to show y'all preliminary procedures, and this is all Tennessee code and Tennessee law. This is from the Tennessee courts right here. This is Rule 3. Okay. Rule 3, the affidavit of complaint, rules of criminal procedure. Okay. Preliminary proceedings. The affidavit of complaint is a statement alleging that a person has committed an offense. It must be in writing, be made on oath before a magistrate or a neutral or detached court clerk authorized by Rule 4 to make a probable cause determination and allege the essential facts constituting the offense charge. Do y'all know what that means?
Can you simplify it for me?
What it means is they have to have, okay, first of all, an officer we know has to have reasonable articulable suspicion, right, to search your vehicle or invade your property or home. But it's a little bit more than that, whenever a judge issues a search warrant. There has to be probable cause and something reasonable, some kind of evidence or some kind of sworn statement, or someone has to articulate that a crime has been committed in order to obtain a probable cause affidavit. Because a probable cause affidavit is a little bit more than reasonable articulable suspicion. There
Um,
has to be put before a magistrate, before a judge. There has to be enough evidentiary finding for a judge to warrant search and seizure of a property that is belonging to an individual or company.
And I'm pretty sure, Regina, that not to name drop somebody, but Jennifer Coffendorfer actually has been pushing that issue. Like, why did they search that trash? Why did they go to that landfill?
Oh,
And
she
she said,
has?
yeah, she said several times that she doesn't
Yeah,
understand why. And if, I mean, I'll find a clip, but yeah, she's definitely come out and said that why
yeah.
would they
And
do
she
that if they
even
didn't
so
have
much
probable
Let me put
cause?
this. Okay,
she
that's
she
awesome,
even
and I'm
so
gonna
much
have to
as
go
asked
watch those.
she asked us she even so much as asked if there's verification for which landfills and what their connection was to like a location. So this landfill,
Hold
they
on
dump
just
the
a second,
trash
you
from
guys. I
the
think I have someone at my door. Hold on.
okay. They dropped the construction site at a different landfill from the residentials supposedly. So she was just kind of saying, what verification do we have for this to sort this out? That
Right.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah. She did a few Twitter posts, I believe. So,
yeah, yeah,
and earlier when we were talking about the landfill, it didn't even click. It just clicked in that moment. That's why I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm back.
And okay.
Okay, does anyone know like where
It was on
the
Twitter.
Jennifer? It was on Twitter.
It's
Okay.
on her Twitter post. I would go look
Oh, I
for
don't
it
have
for
to look
you.
for it.
It's probably
But you're on your
on,
phone.
yeah, it's probably on my Twitter page. I may have reposted it to yours, to be honest with you.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. I don't even have my Twitter open. Hold on. Open up my Twitter real quick, guys. Give me just a second, because if I have that, maybe. Um. Oh Lord, have mercy. Notifications. Okay, you said you think you posted it.
Yeah. If not,
Uh.
I can jump off, go find it, and bring it back to you. If you can't find it, I can do that.
Okay. Um. Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
All right. So I'll jump down for a
I see
minute,
some. I see
and
some back and forth messages between people, but I'm not seeing a post.
all right. Well, I'll jump down, go find it, and then I'll send it to you, and then I'll come back. How's that?
Awesome. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Be right back.
So, but what the thing I'm trying to get across here, and I can't wait to hear Jennifer's input on this, but there has to be suspicion of a crime for, and there has to be some kind of evidence or statement by someone for a judge implicating criminal activity. And there has to be something pretty good, because let me explain this to you. The Constitution is very clear on what rights someone has in their home. And one of our greatest rights and one of our greatest assets given to us by our Constitution is the right to be protected from unlawful search and seizure. Um,
Can I ask you a question though? If
yes,
they have a statement from one of the city workers who offloads that trash into that truck, if they made a statement stating that, hey, this house's garbage was unusually heavy today, would that be enough? That's what I'm wondering. Because I'm thinking if this is the case and they did have one for that, would that have been enough for them to say, we have probable cause here?
I
That's all I want.
cannot I cannot say without a shadow of a doubt infinitively that yes, that would be enough for a probable cause affidavit. Um, but the point I'm trying to get to here is they have to have suspicion that a crime has taken place. Period. And there has to be an allegation of that crime taking place. in order for a probable cause affidavit to be issued for a search warrant. Without suspicion of crime, without suspicion of a crime, there is no judge going to give a warrant for search and seizure of anyone else's property. And that's mandated by the Constitution.
Well, let's say
What I'm trying to
they
get
they
at,
are using they're using the fact that there's a missing child from this home, and then this guy makes this statement about this same home. Would that
mhm.
not be enough to maybe think that a crime was committed? I don't know.
See, this is why I want to see the actual probable cause affidavit, because whenever it comes to the legal aspect of it, um, sure, there's a missing child. Was the trash a little heavier? Well, that's a matter of opinion, but it could be relevant if that person wrote a sworn written statement stating that that trash was exceptionally heavy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if someone wrote out a probable cause, wrote a sworn statement that says, well, that trash might have been a little heavier, it seemed heavier,
Well, I am
then
Bear
there
says
could be
without consent.
repercussions taken legally against a magistrate for issuing a probable cause affidavit without just cause and without
Well,
true
I
suspicion of the crime. But here's the thing I'm getting at though, Sammy, that I'm trying to tell you. This case, according to Texas code, has been a criminal investigation since there was a probable cause affidavit written and sworn and signed given to a judge to obtain a search warrant.
we have a comment in the chat, and it says, "I am Two Bear without consent dash dash dash," and it says you're assuming consent was not given. No, I don't think we are. We're just kind of questioning. So, is there a PCA? And if
There is
so,
a PCA. There is a PCA. From everything I understand, there's a PCA for them to search the landfill. Have I seen that probable cause affidavit? No, I haven't. That's a very good question, come crime with me. Why didn't the person snap more than one photo? Come on. Why didn't she interact with them and try to distract them? Or, try even asking him, hey, are you Sebastian Rogers? Are you okay? And who takes out their phone and calls someone? Who takes out their phone and takes a picture of someone they think is a missing person and just goes on about their business? And from what I understand, contacts law enforcement later. Like that doesn't make sense to me. That
no,
doesn't
it
make
doesn't.
sense to me.
It
It
doesn't.
just doesn't.
No.
Come crime with me. That is exactly what I was thinking about that photo, by the way. That shoulder where it has two different light sources with the white area between the person behind allegedly Sebastian. That white line means that there are two different light sources in that photo. And unless there was two suns out that day, I do not know how that happened.
I don't know. There's so much up for, debate and questions here. And the only thing I've got is a freaking wing and a prayer that this might be him. And I don't know. I just,
Praying it's him. I
yeah.
mean, but let me go back. We're gonna go back to the legal aspect of this because that is what we can definitively make a decision about. And we're going to go back to the preliminary proceedings. And no, I'm going to read them again. The affidavit of complaint is a statement alleging that a person has committed an offense. Did y'all hear that again? The affidavit of complaint is a statement accusing someone of committing a crime, alleging that that person has committed an offense. It must be in writing, be made on oath before a magistrate or a neutral or detached court clerk authorized by Rule 4 to make a probable cause determination and allege the essential facts constituting the offense charged. Advisory Commission comment. This rule governs what must be done to secure in assurance of an arrest warrant under our statutory scheme and per TCA 40-6212. Clerks of Clerks of Court of General Session and their sworn duties have jurisdiction and authority concurrent with that of their judges to issue arrest warrants. It is important.
Think you're muted.
I accidentally muted. Sorry about that. Um, I lost my place. Oh, it is important that any clerk issuing an arrest warrant know and fully appreciate the legal significance of the fact that is a jurisdictional function which is being performed. The validity of the warrants, and this applies to search warrants too, you guys. The validity of the warrant depends on making of a probable cause determination. A warrant must never be issued as a mere ministerial act done simply upon application. Moreover, a valid warrant can be issued only by one who is neutral and detached and capable of making probable cause determination based upon an adequate showing of probable cause. Aguilar versus Texas, 37-8, 378 US 108, 1964, overruled by Illinois versus Gates, 462 US 213. One who has paid a fee for the issuance of a warrant, but nothing where such issuance is refused, is not a neutral and detached magistrate. And that's talking about if paying for warrants and stuff. It must be emphasized that before a valid arrest warrant can issue or a valuable search warrant, that applies to both here, the judicial officer issuing the warrant must be supplied with sufficient information to support an independent judgment that probable cause exists for the warrant. Whiteley versus Warden, 401 US 560, 1971. And that is precedence for this. A factual sufficient basis for the probable cause judgment must appear within the affidavit of complaint. If hearsay evidence is relied upon, the basis for the credibility of both the information and the informant's information must also appear in the affidavit. Spinelli versus US 393, US 401, 1969. Overruled by Illinois versus Gates, 462 US 213, 1983. The comparable federal rule calls this affidavit the complaint. Since that technical term is used differently in our civil procedure, and also to further emphasize to the one issuing an arrest warrant, the necessity for first having in hand a detailed complaint reduced to writing and sworn to, the commission adopted affidavit of complaint to describe the document upon which the issuance of an arrest warrant is based. And what this is saying is there has to be a sworn written affidavit, a sworn written affidavit from someone who is able to write a sworn affidavit and submit it to the court that a crime has been committed. This means that there has to be a sworn statement from an officer who has probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed to file the affidavit for the judge to look at to issue a warrant or whether or not he will issue a warrant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense to you?
Hmm.
Waiting for Crystal to come back in. I am too, Bear. Hello, it is so good to see you again, Paige. I'm so glad you made it. It's good to see you. Let's see, we got Kel. Come crime with me, you guys. It's so good to have you guys. Thank you for joining us. They see me trolling. Hmm. Hello. I'm glad you made it. Good to see you, Terry Edwards. Yes, I was looking at the wedding ring and I was looking at the fingers. I'm not sure about that. As people age, they can have somewhat sagging skin on their knuckles and stuff, or if someone's a little heavier, they can have knuckles that might have a little bit of a pudge to them, if you will. Um, and I can't get a good look at the wedding ring from the photo. I did try that, but it's good to see you and thank you for your input. We greatly appreciate you. Aw, I am Two Bear mods. I am Two Bear says, hi, y'all wonderful mods. Come crime with me. I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. But this is the point. This is what I'm trying to get across. And Sammy, we'll get back to your question in just a second. But this is the point I'm trying to get across um, about what I'm talking about with this, with the legal procedures and criminal procedures. And I'm going to show y'all one more thing real quick on this.
Well, these are good things to know for the simple fact that people like me, just a layman, does not know all the technicalities and the things that are involved in them acquiring, the permits they need to do what they've got to do for their job. It just seems like a lot of red tape, but I understand why, and I understand how it's very pertinent that they make this purposeful, not just willy-nilly. I get it.
Right. Well, see, law enforcement officers that are in the field, they have to determine reasonable articulated or reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed before they can do one of two things. Before they can seize your persons or your property, okay, or detain you.
Hmm.
And whenever it comes to serving search warrants, there has to be probable cause for an officer to suspect there's been crime committed on that property because it falls under irreasonable search and seizures if there is not probable cause to search the property. Whenever it
Yeah.
goes before a judge and there is an actual probable cause affidavit given to a judge, it has to be from law enforcement or um, a clerk, or it has to be presented by someone who has the authority to submit a probable cause affidavit, which is
Right.
usually a sworn law enforcement officer
Yeah.
of some field or division. And the thing is, without without suspicion of a crime, neither a probable cause affidavit nor a search warrant can be issued. That's the point I'm getting at. This
Right.
has been a criminal investigation, whether TBI wants to say it or not, or they want to edit everything they're saying about no, this is not a criminal investigation. Well, that's a lie, and I find it very misleading. And I have no faith left in them on this with finding Sebastian, and I'm praying they do. I want that little boy brought
Well,
home so bad.
you know
Like I
something?
think about him every day. You
I
know,
think about it like this, okay? You think about this. Those cops can lie to us all day long. They're allowed. And in order to protect their investigation, I promise you they will. So I am trying, I get what you're saying because there's days where I feel that same exact way because he's not the only missing child out there in that state. And it just seems to be this does not look good. That's all I can say. this does not look good as far as the way that we're seeing things being handled or not handled.
Um, Here's the thing though. If they if they served this alleged probable cause affidavit to this, or this search warrant to this landfill, we know that there was a probable cause affidavit written out in order to obtain a search warrant. There has to be a criminal investigation. There has to be a crime suspected in order for a search warrant to be obtained. Period. As per the Constitution of the United States, without reasonable articulate suspicion by a law enforcement officer, or a search warrant after a probable cause affidavit has been presented to a magistrate, there is, without the crime, neither of those things can be issued. There has to be suspicion of a crime, is what I'm telling you. Period.
Can I do a devil's advocate thing here?
Uh huh.
Is there even the chance that whoever was had the authority to authorize permission would have could have maybe given them permission irregardless and them not having needed a PCA? I mean, is there a chance of that?
There is a chance of that, but okay, you got to think whenever it comes to this landfill, this is a business based operation, right? I'm not saying that they didn't give permission to search the landfill without a probable cause affidavit, but I find it highly unlikely to let someone come in and undo all of the work over so many, well, but it is involving a missing child.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so many things could be at play here that we're unaware of. And I know I don't trust that they're going to give the public the information that we're seeking because there's an investigation. And I find it hard to believe, on the other hand, that it's not a criminal investigation to begin with. But I mean, and it just seems like more and more it it looks more like a foul play type deal for me because there's no way in the world that child would have run off on foot and nobody has found him. I find that utterly impossible if it was a simple case of him, getting fed up, feeling unwanted, whatever it might have been, and leaving. And yes, anybody could walk out their door in the middle of the night and get picked up by somebody off the street. I get that, but I'm trying to keep it really simple and really basic because the simplest answers are usually the ones that you're going to end up finding being part of the truth. So I am so confused by, by this whole thing, and every day all I can do is pray. But ultimately, I just don't feel like there's a lot of information we will never have until he is found. You know, we're
Right.
just kind of stuck.
I have looked for the probable cause affidavit. I am going to have to find a FOIA request to get it, evidently. And because this is an open investigation, I don't know that I'll be able to get it. But the facts are they did search that landfill. And typically, searching landfills constitutes having to obtain a probable cause affidavit for a search warrant. And as we all know now from going over the legal aspects of it, you have to have suspicion of criminal activity to obtain a probable cause affidavit. I mean, in order to obtain a search warrant. And if you're out in the field as a police officer, you have to have reasonable articulable suspicion to act on searches and seizures. Does that make sense?
It
Because
Yeah.
does.
we
I
have our
just came back,
constitutional rights.
but I have a
Welcome
quick
back.
question. Oh,
Yay.
Did you
thank you.
find it?
Yeah, I found them all. They're all
Oh,
in
good.
general. And
Okay,
let me
they
tell
are.
you, Miss Jennifer likes to go on X, so she had a lot of posts. So the whole time I was gone, I was scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. And I
Did she
found
have?
them. And I think there's like 7 of them, maybe, tweets just on the landfills
Is that a
searches.
probable cause affidavit that I'm seeing?
I don't. I sent everything I found,
Okay, hold on just a second. Let's go over this.
and I went all the way back to the beginning of the case. So that's why it took me so long. Sorry.
You're fine. We did just fine. I
Oh,
missed
I
you though.
figured. Oh, well, thank you. Uh,
Okay, let
mm.
me look at this real quick.
The only
Zoom
thing is,
in.
yeah, I was disappointed I wasn't hearing this, but I get what she's saying, what Regina's saying. She does a good job explaining it. Hi, everyone in chat. I don't know who's in here, but it's good to see all of you. Welcome. Yeah, I can't even see you, and I'm saying it's good to see you. That's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. So let me rephrase that. I don't see you, but if you're there and whoever is in the chat, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. That probably sounds less confusing.
Mhm.
Whew. I hope I'm not holding you guys up by sending you all that, Regina.
No, I'm
I don't
looking through
think
this
so.
right now,
I
actually.
don't think so. She was just reread the probable cause affidavit, like all of the requirements to get one, to obtain one, how you're supposed to obtain it, and so on and so forth,
Oh,
and
okay.
why. Yeah,
Well, the reason I'm telling everyone this also, something else, is knowledge is power. You
it
have to
is.
know your rights. You have to know your rights in order to protect yourself from unlawful searches and seizures.
Right. Well, not to mention what a waste of resources if it is actually not a legitimate search. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I would like to be able to find out where we could obtain a PCA for this, but I got a funny feeling that's one thing that won't come out till much later, if at all.
Well, and I believe you have to live in that state to get any of those forms. You can't. You have to be a citizen. Well, a citizen.
Okay, I'm
A resident,
seeing.
Yeah. Thank you, Sammy.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying.
I do.
I'm gonna mute.
Okay,
Well,
I'm
I
looking
did
at Jennifer Coffendorfer's post, and she doesn't have the probable cause affidavit that I can see. Um,
probably not. And if it was released to her, there may have been a condition that she was not allowed to share it or make it public.
No, but I was just saying how she's been wondering the same questions about that search. Like the fact that it took them 2 days to search a landfill and then they quit.
Right.
That's, yeah, I mean, that's kind of unheard of. Like you said,
oh,
Sammy, there's a.
according. Go ahead, Crystal. I'm sorry. I'll share. I'll tell you afterwards.
No, I was just gonna say, and like Sammy said, that's a lot of resources to pull out, a lot of money, and a 2-day search doesn't seem like it would be, much to. I just feel like it
So
would have been longer.
there was a probable cause affidavit. There was a search warrant issued to the landfill, according to Jennifer Coffendaffer. Something is bothering me. I'm sharing it with y'all right now from her Twitter feed. Something is bothering me, and that is in the search warrant that was obtained early on in the Sebastian Rogers investigation. I know LE said routine, but no landfill search is routine. and that probable cause affidavit had to show probable cause to believe either indica of a crime or that a body would be in that landfill for them to be able to search it. LE is being awfully quiet. What is in the probable cause affidavit? So she's saying that there was, in fact, a search warrant issued. Ooh, maybe we're looking it up wrong. Maybe we shouldn't look for. Hold on a second. Hold on just a second. Because while there might not be the probable cause affidavit, we might be able to find the actual search warrant issued without the probable cause affidavit attached to it. Just a second, you guys. Let me see here. Let me zoom in on this. Nope, that's not it. Okay, let's see here. I'm not. Nope. I bet it's all sealed. You guys, this is an active investigation. And that's likely why we're not seeing um, the actual legal documents associated to it. Let me go back to what you sent me, Crystal, and go over this. Okay, I'm going to share this one with y'all real quick. So we have, as we await news regarding Sebastian Rogers, and on the heels of a warrant to search a landfill for him that yielded negative results after 2 days. And that just blows my mind that they only searched for 2 days for him in that landfill. Search a landfill for him that yielded negative results after 2 days of searching due to apparent specificity regarding where the trash was dumped from his home. I remain cautious as to what happened to Sebastian Rogers. I know what it is looking like. I have been there. Trusting LE, they have all the information. So Jennifer Coffindaffer is saying there was a search warrant, but I'm not finding any actual information on the search warrant. So
I
what I
mean,
was getting
that
back
just
to is not only is it important for us to know our rights, but by knowing these rights, we can apply these rights and procedures to other cases whenever we're investigating them. Go ahead, Crystal.
sorry I muted. That's okay. I forgot what I was gonna say as usual. I have that 3 second memory thing, so um I think I was just gonna say that from what I read what Jennifer was posting, so it was going back to the criminal part of it. Like so there has to be a it has to be a criminal case if there was a search warrant for a landfill. Or at
Yes.
some point it was a criminal case, which again, if he is alive and he is somewhere and somebody has him, it's still a criminal case, but it's actually upped more because it would be, if he's not in the same state, it becomes federal. And actually, you know how you have the state statutes up? What about the federal statutes? Have you looked into any of those?
Um, those are the state statutes that I
No,
went
I
over.
no, I said the federal.
The federal statutes are the Constitution.
Right, but I mean, like, can you get it down to this, like this part of it? Never mind. I'm thinking too
Well, the
much.
Constitution supersedes state law.
Right, and but where they left the, I'm just saying, not. I guess I'm saying it wrong. It's not the Constitution, but like what somebody.
I am Two Bear. That is a very good point. I am Two Bear said, not to mention, Chris said the DEA was present for video viewing. DA equals prosecutor for criminal cases, and that is absolutely correct. District attorney is the prosecutor.
One of the other things that I mentioned way back when this case started, and I wouldn't say it's a conspiracy, but a possibility, I suppose. What if, for whatever reason, Sebastian was taken and there was some kind of ransom and everyone is playing into the hands of whoever has him? I know that sounds crazy and outrageous, but do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what if that's why there's so much secrecy and then, like, the parents don't even know what's going on? Or that's why they I don't know. I can't even talk my own theory through. That's how screwed up it is. I'm muting now. Whew.
I've come I've come to believe that Occam's razor 9 times out of 10 is the best way to solve any puzzle or conundrum. The simplest, most obvious answers related to facts are usually the answers. It is very rare for an instance to be twisted in some way that it does not fit with the simple facts. It's very rare, very rare. It's like catching lightning in a bottle. There are cases where there have been things that are um, so twisted and so unexpected and far fetched that nobody would have guessed them or believed the twist or however you want to define it, but that's rare. Um, if you see a fish out of water in a frying pan, you would assume that someone caught that fish and cooked it, right? Someone put it in that frying pan. What are the odds of that fish flopping out of water and landing in a frying pan? Well,
About as good as the odds that I'm gonna ever be a Mega Powerball winner. Never.
well, yeah. I mean, I could be a Mega Millions Powerball winner, but I'd have to play first, wouldn't I?
Right. I'm just saying, like, I don't get all these cases. They're just so far fetched lately and so crazy and bizarre from every angle. You know, every one of them lately has just been like, what?
Terry Edwards says Seth says it is a picture of Sebastian. I have not I
What
personally have not heard Seth say it is absolutely a picture of Sebastian. I have seen posts and stuff where he says he thinks it might be Sebastian, that it looks like Sebastian.
do we? Well, if Seth's out there, call in and tell us because we want to know. I'm just going to go with in my heart, I'm just going to think that it's him, even though I have my reservations for now.
I'm sorry, I'm reading chat.
No, you're fine. Did you turn the phone lines on by any chance so people can call in?
I did, and I need to put the banner up for it with the phone number. There we go.
Perfect.
Also, you guys, I would like to reiterate, if you have any information regarding the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers, first call 911. Second, if you can take a photo of the person, please report it to the tip line at Tennessee Bureau of Investigation 615-451-3838. Now, I have the phone lines open also for those of you that would like to call and give your opinion on this case or any information that you have. Hey, Funky just Sunky, it's so good to see you. All right, Crystal and Sammy, I'm gonna throw it over to y'all for just a moment. I need a drink of water. I forgot to get my drink ready before I come to my office. So I will be right back. My mouth is, I need water. Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. So,
Well, I know
Sammy,
I was looking. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to ask you what you thought.
Well, honestly, I'm still trying to get back to. I had some information on a location online where you might be able to obtain such documents without us being residents of Tennessee, and I'm having troubles finding it. But when I do, I will post it.
Yeah, I mean, if I recall correctly, it's just nearly impossible if you're not a resident of that
Yeah.
state. Yeah. So, um,
But as far as having a PCA, I mean, those are the kind of things they're probably not going to tell us anyways. And it's pretty obvious if they're searching anything, they've gotten one. I mean, the most
right.
simplest basic answer would be that they have obtained one,
Hmm.
or maybe more than one. Who knows?
I
And
would
there's
just like,
so many factors at play that don't even know about that
right.
are happening behind the scenes.
I know another case that I'm quite interested in is the Suzanne Morphin.
Morpheus, Morpheus.
Yeah, case. That, I mean, that woman deserves some justice. That, and her, her family, her kids, the people that love her. I just feel so bad for them. I
That's
mean,
unbelievable.
it really
Yep,
is.
yep.
And what a beautiful family they were. They really were.
Mhm.
The daughters, the husband, the her. They were just beautiful to look at in a picture. But
You
it's too
never
bad.
know what's lurking behind them closed doors, you know?
Oh, I
You
know.
really
I
never know.
I was reading up on different cases yesterday, and like some of these doctors that, like, it was about a pediatrician that um who was arrested like 20 years ago for trying to enlicit an underage prostitute. And then he just found out, or he's just being tried for the fact that he wanted to help an 8-year old explore
Oh
their,
no.
yeah.
Oh
So,
no.
and the
Ugh,
wife
Okay.
actually testified against him because she's no longer married to him and stuff. But I mean, if to look at him, he looks like a clean cut, shaven, wearing a 3-piece suit and a
very
tie.
unsuspecting.
Right.
Unsuspecting.
So I'm back, you
And
guys.
let me
Yep.
just finish one thing. And
Okay, go
then
ahead.
and for him to be left with these children, and he was a pediatric surgeon. So, I mean,
Mm-mm-mm.
it's just sick.
Predators, they come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah. Okay, Regina, sorry.
So I want to throw something out there for you guys. Do y'all remember how Chris Proudfoot said it would take him 3 hours and I believe it was 37 minutes from doorstep to doorstep to get to
Mm. Yep.
Hendersonville?
Yep.
Okay, why does everyone think that he would have to go to Hendersonville to have some kind of part in the disappearance of Sebastian? Because let me explain something to you. While he is correct that it would take that long to drive, only if he went the whole way.
Right.
Whenever there are two people involved in a case, if they meet in the middle,
Yep.
or if they meet one of them a further distance than the other,
And they're on the phone the whole time, maybe?
or if they're not on the phone the whole time, but they hang up the phone and one of them leaves their if they leave their phones at home with
Right.
a destination to meet up at.
Ooh.
But I
Yeah.
thought
Oh
that, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
not to,
Oh.
Exactly. And
not
do you
to,
know who was not at home whenever the 911 dispatch was made searching for Sebastian? Do you know who was not at work, not at home, but was still in her vehicle whenever
Hmm.
911 dispatch was made for Sebastian?
More food for thought. Oh
but
my.
More food for thought.
I just want to say though, I thought that he was cleared by Ellie, that his alibi did check out. I just want to point
They
that
keep
out.
the one thing I do keep hearing is that no one is off the table.
Right, but
Yep.
okay. All
Yep.
right. Well, okay.
That's from Chris Proudfoot's own mouth that he has a rock solid alibi, is it not?
I thought that Ellie said that they did verify his alibi. I could be wrong. Um because I thought that both him and Seth alibis proved that they were
Some of the
where they
statements that
said
I
they were.
Some of the
So,
statements I saw was that someone made a comment of they did see his truck at his place at whatever specific time in the morning, which kind of didn't make sense to me if he was actually supposed to be at work. Um, and then apparently they heard from someone at his job site stating he was there, but then I don't know. I really don't know to what extent that was and for what days. I have no clue.
does anyone out there in telephone land know that could
And
call
not to
in?
mention, hey, look,
This
you know,
alleged
he might have had access to other vehicles that we don't even know about.
bing
Okay?
bong, bing bong. And just because he has an alibi for the full time, I mean, just because he has an alibi does not mean that it is for the entire time from allegedly around midnight when he got off the phone with Katie until Sebastian went missing.
See, I thought that they came out, and I'm just being devil's advocate. I thought that they said that he was seen coming out of wherever he was staying at 5:15 a.m. to go to work. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought. And I thought I heard that on like Law and Order. Not Law and Order. Gee,
Long crime.
yeah,
What
Law and
I
Crime.
heard, what I read was that he was at work at 5:15. That was his alibi.
But the thing is like it's so hard to really know right now because we don't,
Let me
it goes
I
explain
back
will
and
tell
forth.
you,
this.
It's
I
back
will
and
tell
forth.
you this. I will tell you this. I don't know what kind of systems all of these corporations are using to keep track of their employees and their hours or whether they were there or not. But I know that I've had a job for 15 years that we use biometrics, which means you use your fingerprint because there's no other way for anyone else to claim that you were there and, making your hours, whatever the deal is, and that you showed up for your schedule than putting your fingerprint on the dealio. So I don't know what kind of systems they're using, if they're using any at all, but those are things worth looking into as well to verify stuff without any kind of chance that it's a lie.
Okay, I would like to state this for the record for everyone who's watching right now. I am not saying that Chris and Katie Proudfoot had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance. What I will say is that Chris Proudfoot said on Facebook that he had taken a lie detector test, only to go on Nancy Grace to say that he had not taken a lie detector test and he would take one anytime, any day, anywhere for Nancy Grace. But then, whenever push come to shove and it come time for the polygraph, he refused to take it, saying that TBI informed him not to. Okay. Which also is a little suspicious for me because, in my experience and understanding, only a lawyer would tell you not to take a polygraph because they're inadmissible in court. Could be
Well, the
wrong about
troubles
that.
that I have here is this. He has contradicted himself all over the place,
That's
almost every
something
aspect of this case.
Oh, absolutely.
that's
They've been inconsistent with all of their statements. Absolutely. So for them to be held to the fire is their own doing. They've done that to themselves, regardless if they're involved or not involved. They've not made themselves look innocent in their behaviors. I will say that. But
this
I was just
Absolutely.
I'm
trying to find out the
let me
fact. I'm sorry.
no it's okay, just let me finish this real quick. In the Smiley interview, whenever he was describing spanking Sebastian with a belt, he said whack whack. It was over, basically. Two strikes with a belt in his Smiley interview. And then just the other day on Web Sleuths, he said he only smacked him one time. So there's an inconsistency. Now, they did say something, again, very interesting. Chris Proudfoot did say something very interesting in his interview. He said that he was on the phone with Katie whenever the noise happened, and Katie was talking to Sebastian about the alleged thud and told him to go to bed or whatever. But he refused to elaborate on what Katie said to Sebastian in Web Sleuth's interview
Right. I remember
after
that.
Katie herself had made statements about the thud on Nancy Grace. And I have a real problem with that because that tells me that whatever happened, the thud that apparently didn't concern Katie too much, she didn't even go look in on him. But Chris Proudfoot was on the phone with her by his own words in the Web Sleuth interview whenever that took place.
Oh, absolutely. You're correct. I remember all of that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just at all. It's just it's all so strange. You know, you hear one
Also
thing
strange.
and then it changes, and it's not just the parent stories that are changing. It's like you're lost in all of this. He said, she said, he said, she said. And
Hmm.
it's just like we're losing Sebastian in a mix of all of that, you know?
Yes.
So it's
And
like,
then we have multiple agencies that have come in to look for this boy have been attacked.
mhm.
Multiple people that have come in. You've got JRL that was chased. Remember? Whenever he was on the hunt for Sebastian. CJ, Evil CJ, y'all know who I'm talking about? He was
I do.
attacked
Yep.
so that he quit searching for Sebastian.
No, I
We
don't know
have
who he
the
is.
Cajun Navy that come under attack when they were searching for Sebastian. What's going on here?
Yep.
What is
Very, very
going on
suspicious.
here?
Well,
Very
just go,
suspicious.
And we
just,
have TBI giving us different, I mean, they literally wrote an email. Y'all know which email I'm talking about. We've all seen it on Twitter, in which they said it was a criminal investigation, only to retract their message and say, we meant to say investigation. And now we're hearing about uh, a probable cause affidavit for the landfill, which very much so has to be a criminal investigation to even obtain a search warrant through probable cause. But now they're saying there's no criminal investigation. It's like this case is going up and down. Up, it's almost like a bipolar roller coaster.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. It's just, it's very, and it's a shame because the one that's paying for this and all of these inconsistencies and all of these, like, even I don't even know, was the Cajun Navy real or not real anymore, because they were, they weren't. I don't know how that ever ended. Like, but I don't care anymore about it. But it's just like, it's always changing. Something is always changing. You feel like
Always
you've got it,
changing.
and then it's gone. And
Hmm.
it's just,
I
it's a
completely
hard one.
agree. I completely agree. It's constantly the only thing consistent are the inconsistencies. The only thing consistent in this case are the inconsistencies. But I will
Let me
say
ask
this.
you a question though. Let me ask you a question though. When in
Okay.
any of these cases we've ever looked into, have you ever seen so much of a presence of a threat to the people searching? I've never seen that before, not to this degree, and it speaks to something shadier going on in that state.
Now I do recall in the Summer Wells case, there were people that were discouraged from looking and threats and stuff made in that case, if I'm not mistaken, weren't there?
I'm not sure.
From what's the man's name? Don Wells, wasn't he threatening people to stay off his property and all that?
That's in
And quit
Tennessee,
harassing them?
right? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I've never seen volunteers chased away under any for any reason. For any reason, I have never seen search volunteers chased off of a case so much as I have in Sebastian Rogers.
This is
But
just
here's
making me to question the state to begin with.
Well, for me, you know what baffles me, and I've not been on search parties before, of like this magnitude. Um, but you would think that there would still be like an evolving map. They would have this huge map of Tennessee up in the area and the surroundings areas where they've searched, and they would be pinned and marked, and that should be like in the center of town. You know, people. I don't. Has when was the last search? When was the last time somebody has been out looking for him?
Well, I'll tell you
you
what, I've been on searches in my state, and nothing's stopping me when I'm on a search. And I've never had encountered this sort of a situation in our case ever searching for anyone. Ever have we been threatened? Never.
I just don't see anybody searching anymore. Or we're not hearing. Maybe they are, but we're just not hearing about it. Like if I was in that town, I'd want to be able to go to a center point, whether it be like, you know, a room in the library that they put aside for Sebastian. And when people are out looking their properties, you know, just go mark it, or put a ribbon out in front of your yard
I
saying, yeah,
actually have an answer for your question, Low 12, and I have the map right here of where they have searched for Sebastian.
are you talking to me or low
Yeah, it's
12?
on your screen right now.
Okay. But don't you think that's something that we should see? Like, that's something that we should all be looking at? Like, as just, we should be looking to see. I mean, I wish I lived closer. I would look, you know, and it's easy for me to say that because I don't live there. But it's just, I would assume that there's people probably checking their properties on a regular basis, out there looking. Spring is here now, you know? So if
You would
people,
be a little bit surprised at how many people don't look, even when it's for a toddler on their own damn property. You'd be surprised.
You would be
So
surprised.
yeah, we've
You would be
had to
surprised.
search everybody's everything to try and look for toddlers and things like that. And you would really be surprised the number. Now there are some people who are older who can't, go and get down on their hands and knees and crawl under stuff and get on top of things and climb campers and everything else to make sure some kid ain't up there hiding. I mean, I get it. Not everybody can,
no,
but
and I
you would
get
be
that.
Here,
surprised.
but I have another issue though. with the Proudfoots. Whenever Chris did the Web Sleuths interview the other day, he was stating the doors being locked and this, that, or the other as fact, 100% unfallible fact, whenever he was not at home, according to his own alibi. But let me explain something to you. Just because there is no time frame of 6 hours in which Chris Proudfoot was not accounted for does not mean it is impossible for him to have played a role in the disappearance of Sebastian, just like it doesn't mean that if Katie wasn't home for 6 hours, she didn't play a role in this in the disappearance of Sebastian. Because let me explain this to you. Whenever two people are involved at two different points, at two different locations on a map, neither of those people have to drive the full 6.5 or 3.5 hours one way to meet each other. One of them can drive 4 hours. One of them can drive a total of 4 hours, which would be 2 hours or 2.5, 2 hours and 15 minutes one way. And the other could drive an hour and 15 minutes one way and meet in the middle.
You
So
know
the things,
something? I think that your theory on the possibility, and this is just allegedly and speculation,
this is
that
speculation.
they could have met in the middle is entirely possible, and especially if they did leave their phones connected to each other, left them at their place of wherever they were staying, because then no one would have been the wiser, basically. I get that, and it's
And
entirely possible. I mean, it is a possibility.
and if Kate, and I'm not saying she did, you guys, but I'm saying you have to think outside of the box. I know Chris Proudfoot doesn't want people thinking outside of the box, but this is a missing child. I've been racking my brain, and I've
Look, this ain't
realized
about them really. It's about
no,
the
it's not.
child. So we're
E-
trying to figure out the people in his circle who were with him, who were near him, who could have had anything to do with his disappearance. We got to look at them all.
We have to. If we're really interested in finding Sebastian, we have to look at everything with a comprehensive and logical brain. We have to.
And it's funny because you've got that picture up there on the screen, but you look and you put Sebastian in the middle of that. And then anyone else that is in his life directly who has had contact with him before his disappearance in that same circle. Those are the first people that you need to be looking at. Anyone and everyone that he could have had contact with. And there, yes, there could be unknowns. But then after that, anyone who is in their inner circle, those people need looking at too. So it's not just them we're looking at. It's an entire plethora of it's a process. And it's
Exactly, Sammy.
basically a
Thank you.
process of elimination.
I have a question. Is that a
Yes.
waterway at the bottom of the map? Like looking
Yes.
like a snake? No, what is that?
Yes.
What is it called? Can you tell me?
Hold on, I'll zoom in real quick.
Sorry, I'm blind, so I can't see anything.
No,
I'm
that's
not
fine. I'll tell you what that
blind, but
is. Hold on, I'm zooming in. That is uh that is the Cumberland River. Go figure. Where Riley was
mm,
found. That is the Cumberland River.
mm.
Boy, this
Now,
just gets creepier.
doesn't it though? Just the it's it I'm so concerned for Sebastian. I'm so concerned for this little boy. I want him to be brought home and I want him to be alive more than anything. This is what I want. This is what I pray for. Um,
That's what we
I
all want, regardless of what anybody thinks of who, all, whether it be the TBI, the parents, the grandparents, the United Cajun. We all want him to come home. I think that is a general, like you said, all across the board.
consensus. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't remember. I think it was. was it you, Crystal, or was it you, Sammy, that sent this to me? From Steve Fisher to Heather, one of the investigators, the private investigators.
I believe it was me that sent it to
Yeah,
Okay,
you.
not me.
okay. I would like to read this for everyone. It says, "Hi, Heather. This is Steve Fisher. Though I'm not involved in investigating Sebastian's disappearance, I'm keeping a close eye on the developments, along with many of my followers. These individuals are invaluable advocates for all missing person cases, not just mine, as they play a crucial role in supporting investigations and ensuring that these cases remain in the public eye. So I think they deserve answers that would not be detrimental to the investigation. I have a few questions. I hope you can answer on the record for greater transparency. I plan to share your responses directly via a screenshot on my Twitter feed to ensure the information is communicated accurately. Remember, these are on record. Law question 1. Law enforcement response time. Can you shed some light on why there is a delay in law enforcement confirming whether the photo circulated is of Sebastian? Number 2, identity of the woman in the photo without revealing her identity, as I want to avoid initiating my public manhunt. Is there a woman known to you, other investigators, or Seth? Question 3, has Seth's mom indicated what she believes about this photo and the people in it? Question 4, Seth's recent silence. Seth has previously not followed law enforcement's advice on communication. What's different this time that he has remained quiet for the last 48 hours? 5. Seth's location. Is Seth still in Tennessee, or has he moved elsewhere to continue his search? Question 6. Case resolution timeline. Based on your insights, do you anticipate that the case might reach a conclusion within the next 48 hours? I appreciate your cooperation and openness in addressing these queries. Well, I'm going to give y'all a second more. If y'all want to pause screen and screenshot these questions, because I actually have the answers to them as well. Thank you, Crystal, for that. Okay.
Welcome.
All right. Give y'all a few more seconds. Okay. And now we are going to go on to the answers that were given by Crystal. And as you all know, from Heather. Sorry, Crystal. Here are the answers. And
Yeah,
this
I
is
didn't
from
answer any
Heather.
questions.
Yeah. Um, these are the answers given from Seth Proudfoot's PI. From what I understand, they are still venting this photo. I have not heard whether they have identified the woman, or question one's answer. From what I understand, they are still vetting the photo. Number 2, answer to question number 2. I have not heard whether they have identified the woman. I only know that the woman is not the same woman seen in the photo with Seth at Rockland. One can assume that they do not know the identity of the woman as of yet, because if they had, they would probably know by now whether the picture is of Sebastian or just another teenage boy that resembles him. Number 3, question answered. I believe that Katie has made some public comments that the photo does closely resemble Sebastian. However, I cannot answer for her, so I would redirect that question to Katie. Question 4. I'm sorry, this is something I am. Wait, I'm sorry, this isn't something I am at liberty to speak about at this moment. Answer to question 5. Same as above. Question 6. I certainly hope so, but even if we learn that it is Sebastian in the photo, I'm not sure that it would happen that quickly. It would be promising and enough reason for the FBI to take over the case. But if they determine that it isn't him in the photo, then we are back to square one, and I know it's going to be incredibly discouraging to a lot of people. So, the question number one, the law enforcement response time. Can you shed a little light on the delay? And that answer was, from what I understand, they are vetting the photo. Question two, identity of the woman in the photo without revealing her identity. And that was answered. I have not heard whether they have identified her. They just can verify that it's not the woman seen in the photo was Seth at Rockland. Um, question four, Seth's recent silence. Seth has previously not allowed law enforcement advice on communication. And that answer was, I'm sorry, this is something I'm not at liberty to speak about at the moment. And then question five, Seth's location. Is Seth still in Tennessee or is he moved elsewhere? And the same as above, she's not at liberty to say. And then number six, case resolution. And then we go back to whether or not the photo is him in her answer for number six. So this is a conversation between Steve Fisher and Heather, Seth's private investigator, Seth Rogers' private investigator. Okay, so there's that. And without any further updates on the photo from Sebastian Rogers, I personally don't, without it being verified, we don't know if there is going to be a resolution at any time in this case. Just like if it is a photo of Sebastian, and God, please let that be true, regardless of my doubts of the photo, I give it to my higher power and I trust in him. So I give it to him, the higher power, that it is a photo of Sebastian because I hold on to hope too. Even though my logical brain doesn't want me to believe so, I still have hope and I have faith. But if it is a photo of Sebastian, I do believe that it is going to take some time for law enforcement to locate the people in that photo. So, um, all right, you guys. So, and Crystal, back to the case you were talking about, you and Sammy earlier. Let's talk a little bit more about Susan Morphew right now. Um, the autopsy has come back, and she had large doses of animal tranquilizers in her system. Why is this important? Crystal, do you remember what was found in the dryer
Yeah,
with the
the
clean
pellet
laundry?
from the from a tranquilizer gun.
Uh huh.
Yep. And they actually, I believe that that was one of their original claims that that's what happened. But I also know that, um, according to her footsteps, she was running around. And if I believe correctly, she was found in her daughter's room and the sheets were taken. They weren't in the dryer. They weren't there. So
They were missing. Yes.
yeah. But it did
Yes.
show her running around in the house. Like her footsteps were running. So she was running from something in someone obviously because they did say it was, it's a homicide. So and I
Well,
just
now that they have actually recovered her, because for a long time she was just missing, you remember?
right. Yep.
Now that they have actually recovered her, and found the tranquilizers in the autopsy, heavy doses of the tranquilizers. Um, the association with the tranquilizer cartridge in the dryer with the clean laundry, I believe, is very valid to this. And not only that, but out of isn't his name Barry Morphew?
Yes.
Out
Yep.
of Barry Morphew's own mouth, he was tranquilizing deer and cutting off their horns. Remember?
Right. Yeah, he was a hunter, and that's the amount of tranquilizers that were found are what you would take down a big game. We're not talking like a little, squirrel or something. And we're talking like big game. Like an antelope. Are they big? I can't I don't know. I don't think an antelope's big. I think that was wrong. A rhinoceros or something, because that's a big animal.
Or a bear?
Well, I think it was even more than what a bear would be. How much she
Well,
had in her system
right.
of the tranquilizers. What I'm saying is that it was enough to take down a huge animal, the
Like a
amount that was in
moose.
her system.
Like a moose. Or
Yeah,
instead of a deer, more a moose.
yeah, there was a lot. So, um, I don't know. And when he was they dismissed the charges, they did it without prejudice, I believe. So he could be recharged if in fact he did it. But again, I mean, I don't know. It kind of leads me to believe that with that autopsy report, kind of like, whew, that's a big one for me.
It says something, I believe. I believe that the autopsy in uh, Suzanne Morphew's case, I believe that Barry Morphew has already told on himself in more ways than one with his statements and the fact that she was found with animal tranquilizers in her system. I
Mm-hmm.
do not think this looks good for Barry Morphew at all.
No, no, I wouldn't think so. For me, it just confirmed what they previously thought. I mean, it's going to be a hard one for him to, I don't know. I hope he has some good lawyers for his sake. Not because I believe he's innocent by any means. I think that I just, I feel bad because they have two daughters and they've lost their mom. And I'm sure they don't want to believe that their father had anything to do with it, because who would want to believe that? You know what I mean? So if he is found to be the one that did it, that's going to be another huge blow to those girls. Not only are they
Absolutely.
considered possibly orphans in the sense that they've lost both their parents, but they also are have to come to the conclusion that their father was behind it. And that I can't imagine. That would be hard. So I feel for them too, because they're victims in this. The daughters are victims. They lost their mom.
Yes, Low 12, you are 100% correct. Sorry, I'm not trying to just fall back on the Sebastian Rogers case, but according to law enforcement, everyone is still a suspect in this moment in Sebastian Rogers' case. No one has been cleared in his disappearance. No one. Okay. And now back to Suzanne Morphew. Um, it is going to be. I couldn't imagine being those poor kids. The daughters. I could not imagine finding out all of this with all of Barry Morphew. Sorry, I almost said Matthew. But with Barry Morphew's previous statements about him being a hunter, having the tranquilizers, tranquilizing deer. Now, I believe there is one way to significantly ironclad this case, and I believe that is going to be in obtaining the information of where Barry Morphew purchased or acquired those tranquilizers and what exact tranquilizer he was obtaining and tranquilizing his alleged deer hunting expeditions with for horns. I think that that is going to play a paramount role in this case. Identifying the specific tranquilizer that he was using, where he was obtaining it from, what cartridges he was obtaining it in, and now knowing that Suzanne Morphew had those tranquilizers in her system, linking the two tranquilizers to be the exact same is going to be paramount in this case. What do y'all think about that?
Well, I think that somebody coming into that house with that weapon of choice and chasing her around is unlikely. I think that that is the weapon that was there. It was accessible. I'm pretty sure you have to know how to use one of them. And unfortunately, I mean, there's motive. He had motive, because he found out that she was having an affair. So, I mean, I think it's not looking good. Not looking good for him.
I agree. It don't look good.
If I was him, I would be like, because I think maybe he thought if they didn't find her body, they didn't really have a case. It was there was not enough evidence without her body, and her body's gonna, I mean, the autopsy did it for me. If I had any doubt before, I have no doubt now.
I feel the same way. The autopsy verifying that there were large doses of tranquilizers in her system, and Barry Morphew's admittance to having tranquilizers and tranquilizing deer. I think he really put the nail in his own coffin on this one. I really do.
Oh yeah.
I really do now that she's been found. So, you guys, the phone lines are open at 870-266-6949. Um, and I do have the app opened and everything ready to go. If you guys would like to call in and give your opinions on this case, we greatly appreciate it, and we would love to hear what you think.
Yeah, call in. We want to hear what you think. Honestly.
Funky Jasunky said, "Yep, the Cumberland River. It runs into my state. We have what they call the Cumberland Falls. We have the only moon bow in North America." Oh, that's cool. That's cool, Funky Jasunky. Lotwell said, "That's beautiful." So obviously she's looked up the bowl. That's cool. Now, I know that right here it says if you have any information, please call 1-615-451-3838. But you guys, and we're going back to the reference picture for Sebastian. If you think that you are looking at Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, if you think for one moment that you are looking at this missing autistic 15-year-old boy, do not hesitate. Do not hesitate. This is a missing child. This is a missing 15-year-old autistic child. The first thing you should be doing is not taking a photo. The first thing you should be doing if you suspect that you are looking at a missing child is dial 911. The first phone number, the first thing you should be doing if you suspect that you see any missing child is dial 911. Because let me explain something to you. If you take the time to take the picture and then go to a family gathering and then submit the photos and stuff to TBI afterwards, you have already delayed possible recovery of that missing child. Period. End of story. If your first action is not to call 911, if you see what you even believe is a missing child, then you have already delayed the recovery of the possible missing child. Already. So don't get your phone out and take pictures and decide you have to go to a family gathering and then submit the photo, the one photo that is of some. Why is there not more photos? That's something else. That's driving me bonkers, you guys. Why was one 911 not called immediately? Okay. Why did the person not? I mean, I understand if they were worried about their safety not following someone who they believe might have a missing child with them at the time. But like me personally, I'm gonna follow them. I'm gonna stay there and stick it out until the cops get there. What would y'all do, Sammy and Crystal, if it were you? What would be your
Oh,
first
I would do the
reaction?
same thing. I would do the same thing. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I've been on searches looking for missing people, and it's just gut wrenching when they're not found to begin with. And to think that I'd be out somewhere and see someone that I believe is a missing, especially child, you bet your bottom dollar those people are going to have a hard time. They're going to end up calling the cops on me because I'm not going to leave them alone. I'm just going to make sure that I stay until I have got the authorities there. And I'm sorry, but it's just unthinkable that they didn't call right on the spot.
Me personally, if I see a missing child, they're gonna have to try to shake me off like a rabid dog on a chicken bone or a starving dog on a chicken bone. You understand? Like, but I guess it's different for I don't know. Maybe maybe they just weren't thinking about that. I, I'm boggled. It blows my mind. It just absolutely blows my mind. Why would you take a photo of someone you think is a missing child and not immediately, first of all, dial 911 and stay on the phone with 911, at least with that child in your sights until they got there, correct?
Yes, I agree.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
Fungus
just hard to
Funky.
imagine. It's hard to imagine not calling someone to get somebody out there.
Well,
Um,
and for me, that's where it lacks the authenticity of it. Like, that's what gives me questions that it's not him. Maybe, and again, like Regina just said, maybe they snapped a picture. They didn't really think about it. Maybe they thought in a little bit and, like, I don't know, didn't really think about it. And then later on, they looked back and they're like, oh, geez. But we don't know. We don't know if that's how it happened or
well, they
it's
took their
just,
phone out to specifically take a picture of this person allegedly because they thought it was Sebastian.
well, then there is no reason for not calling because, yeah, I mean, the first priority would want to get the person that and you don't necessarily need to intervene, but just keep them in your sights.
Blondie, hello, beautiful. It is so good to see you. So good to
I,
see you.
I mean, I, I don't know. My first instinct would be to call and keep them in my sights. And if they
Right?
leave, I'm leaving. I'm following you. But
Like I said, you're gonna have a trouble shaking me because I'm gonna be like a starving dog with a chicken leg. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
If I see a child that's missing, I mean, you're not gonna be able to shake me unless you kill me. If I see a missing child, I'm gonna follow you. I'm going and until the cop and I might go to jail for harassment. I do not know. But whenever it comes to suspecting that you're in direct line of sight with a missing child, not to lose that line of sight until authorities get there, in my opinion. I don't think there's any excuse, rhyme, or reason why we wouldn't. But the response on Facebook to that was they were late for a family gathering. They snapped the picture and had to run. because they were late for a family gathering. And that's the part that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Because if I think I'm looking at a missing child, my family can wait. They'll hear about why I was late on the news. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard telling what they were thinking or what was going through their head or why they did what they did. I mean, maybe at some point they'll come out and explain it more. I mean, I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have handled it that way if it was me.
Low 12, I'm waiting for an arrest too in both of these cases or a recovery in Sebastian's case. One or the other. One of these two things has got to come to fruition. There either has to be a criminal case in the disappearance of Sebastian, or there has to be a recovery of him. Whether he left the house and on his own free will and is okay and alive out there, there has to be a recovery. Whether he is no longer alive, and I pray that's not the case, but whether he is no longer alive and that is the case, there should be an investigation or recovery. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Funky just Sunky. Hey Connie, good to see you. I'm so glad you stopped in to say hello. You guys, if you wouldn't mind, please remembering to hit that like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it. We all would. Um, I don't know if that is an actual photo of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. I'm praying with all of my heart that it is a photo of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and that this is all going to come to an end soon. This is what I want to happen. What I want to happen. Whether it's what I believe what happened or not, I'll tell y'all what I want to happen. I want Sebastian to be found healthy and alive and returned to his family. Okay. And everything else that plays out afterwards about custody and all of that can come to fruition then. It can come to fruition then. But right now, the most important thing and what I want to happen is for Sebastian to be found and brought home safe to his family, to the people that love him. That's what I want. Now, I'm also a reasonable person. And I have multiple speculations. I would just like to say for the record, I don't just speculate on the Proudfoots because let me explain something to you. How many times have you heard of a neighbor kidnapping a child or harming a child and a case going cold for years because there was no sighting of that child and no more information to go on of that child? How many times have y'all heard of these cases? They're countless. They're countless. And they go back so far. So but in my own logic, I cannot see Sebastian walking out of that house and never being seen again unless he was taken after he exited the house being lured out or unless he left that house not on his own accord. According to Chris Proudfoot, he doesn't know what happened to Sebastian unless Sebastian poofed into thin air. You guys, people don't poof into thin air. It might take a long time for those people to be found, but people don't just vanish into thin air. They can disappear without a trace. They can. But usually, whenever they disappear without a trace, someone has thought it out and planned it meticulously why that person vanished. And that's why they are no longer seen or heard from. Or there are crimes of opportunity where that person was alone or lured away from the public view and something happened to them. Would y'all agree with that?
Yes, I do. I see what you're saying. Absolutely. It's just, oh, it's such a I don't know. It's so sad. The whole thing is sad.
It is very sad. I pray for this little boy every single day. And I hope that you are all out there praying for Sebastian and everyone that's in here. If you wouldn't mind showing your support for Sebastian by putting prayers and green hearts in the chat, that would be amazing. Let's get a love train started for Sebastian. Um, I will say this in this case, regardless of what we speculate, regardless of what we think about any of the parents involved in this case, while it is very important to understand the dynamics in that home and what was going on, because they are what in the web sleuth world we like to call clues that may be relevant to his location or what happened to him. We don't have all of the facts in this case. Sadly, law enforcement has been very obtuse in their labeling of this case, and they have been very quiet and hush hush with any information on this case. Um, so we don't have very many facts to go off of, but what we do have, and sadly, this is what we have to go off of, are multiple interviews with Sebastian's parents. And whenever we find inconsistencies and blatant lies and different stories told over multiple interviews involving this case, that's what we have to go on. And I understand that the Proudfoots, um, look, if I was being blamed for my child being missing longer than 2 months like this, I would be getting upset too if I was innocent and people were shifting the blame on me. But what I wouldn't do is have multiple stories about the same encounter over and over again. And I wouldn't be trying to discourage people from finding him. So, whenever it comes downright to it, I'll be honest with y'all. Seth is the least likely suspicious parent, in my opinion. Why? Because the man is doing everything in his power to get anyone and everyone, A, to not only search for Sebastian, but B, get any law enforcement possible. He's put petitions in for the FBI to come and investigate. Okay. Now, that would lead me to two different conclusions with a parent that is screaming at the top of their lungs, come find my son, everybody involved. A, they are either trying to make themselves look not guilty by trying to get everyone involved whenever they are, but that would just be ignorant for a criminal to do. To try to bring more and more people in to look at this, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. Because whenever you're guilty, you typically want to hide the truth. And trying to bring spotlight to a case does not, in my opinion, seem like he's trying to hide the truth. But whenever you have people who are searchers looking for a missing child, and you start discouraging those searchers or attacking them publicly with this, that, or the other, in this case, to try and discourage them from looking for a missing child, that is a serious red flag that cannot be ignored. Okay. The blatant lies about the spanking with the belt situation, the different stories, excuse me, the different stories that have been told in the story don't add up. It was one licks, it was two licks. I took the lie detector test, I didn't take the lie detector test. And now we have Katie, Seth, Silent, and Chris Proudfoot is on every uh, other YouTuber's channel saying how awful people are for wanting to look into the Proudfoots whenever, I hate to break this to you, Chris Proudfoot, but your wife, by her own statements was the last person to see Sebastian alive. And that is a fact in this case that cannot be overlooked. Do y'all remember the Audrey Cunningham case?
Of course.
Okay. Do you remember what her mother, Cassie, said and how she acted and what she did whenever Audrey was missing, even though she was blamed for the disappearance by the grandparents, the father's parents at first? Do y'all remember what she did?
Yeah.
What did she do?
Um, she was out there. Didn't she contact them also?
Well, she did keep in touch with law enforcement, but I'll tell you what she did because I remember it very vividly. And I said from the very beginning that Cassie was not a suspect, in my opinion, in her daughter's disappearance whatsoever, if y'all remember that. But what she did was told law enforcement, come in, search my house, do what you got to do as many times as you need to,
Oh yeah.
investigate me. All you need, say what you need to about me, hate me if you need to, but find my child.
Mm-hmm. I remember that now.
She said, everyone look at me, do what you got to do. I'll tell you anything you want to know, but God, please find my child.
Right. And I think a lot of times parents will do that. I mean, or spouses or whoever, they're like, yeah, you've got to vet me. Do it, do it, do it so you can start looking for the real person that you need to be looking for. They don't, I mean, then you get the ones that are like, oh, it's a waste of time. I didn't do it. You're just wasting time. So, I mean, I've seen both actually.
But we have not heard from the Proudfoots. Y'all are wasting time looking at us.
True.
We've
True.
we've heard Chris Proudfoot dismiss tips that have been called in, and
Right.
he's told people quit wasting resources, quit wasting this, that, or the other. Um you're not helping. You guys, if it's my kid, I wouldn't care if it was a suspected tip called in for any reason. I would want that tip called in, and I would never discourage people from calling in tips on my child.
Oh, me either. Me either.
And there's something else. I don't know if y'all saw it for yourselves the other day, but go look at Web Sleuth's video where she had Chris Proudfoot on the phone. And I find it very alarming that Chris Proudfoot is talking about Sebastian in the present tense. Also, why is he attacking um why is he attacking people and calling them names and telling them you don't know and using that as a reference to attack people whenever according to him he doesn't know? Why would someone attack someone, throw it in their face that they don't know something and putting them down for it if they don't have the answers either? That makes no sense to me. None. None whatsoever. That's almost like mocking someone with knowledge of truth, in my opinion, of what happened and being like, I know, but you don't, so shut up. You know what I mean? Which is, I mean, and that's paraphrasing, but that's almost what he did in Web Sleuth's video. He was saying that everyone, all these YouTubers and stuff, need to quit talking about this case and everything. I highly beg to differ. I think that everyone needs to keep talking about this case, just like they need to talk about every missing child out here and keep their faces in public. You know, I
You
come
know,
across,
I was gonna say real quick, I think that would be good too if any of the anybody that watches, if they know about a missing case in their neighborhood, their city, their state, if they emailed it in and we could showcase it on the show, and get some of those missing kids, missing people out there that aren't necessarily on mainstream TV. Because there's a lot of missing children. There's a lot of missing people.
I post. well, over the past few days, I've been inactive on Twitter. As y'all know, I'm literally working with a detective on a new
Mm-hmm.
lead in a missing person case, a missing child case. I've been working on the side on this case, and it's not Sebastian Rogers. It's a cold case. Um, but I've been working on a cold case um from a long, long time ago, 30 years plus. And sadly, this little girl's case has gone cold several times. The person that I'm working with law enforcement now. And I'm praying to God that this all pans out because I want every missing child brought home. Every missing child. Um,
That that's why I encourage people to send in those flyers to you. So maybe we can
yes.
do some research and post them, even post them on the lives, because every picture we show and every person that looks at it is an opportunity for that person to be found.
Amen,
So
Crystal. Exactly. Exactly. And also, if anyone hears something through hearsay or something like that or anything, you guys, it's still important to report what you hear and what you see whenever missing people and endangered people are at risk, because the smallest detail that someone else may think is irrelevant might be the detail that brings a missing child home. You never know when the simplest thing that other people could excuse will be the difference in someone being recovered and brought home to their family. And like what I was going to get to a while ago, it doesn't matter if I like the Proudfoots or not. It does not matter if I side with Seth or not. What I do think matters is keeping Sebastian's story alive, for everyone to keep sharing his photo, keep sharing his face. Look, you guys, let me show you something. This is, I'll show you a bunch of them. Look, this is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. He is a 15-year-old autistic child from Hendersonville, Tennessee, who has been missing, coming up on almost 2.5 months. Look, this is him. Uh, All you have to do is type in the Google bar Sebastian Rogers. Imprint his face on your hearts, in your minds, and in your hearts. And if you see Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, call 911 first, 911. And then, if you can photograph him and can take a picture of him, call 855-541-0751 or the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 615-451-3838. This is a missing autistic child from Hendersonville, Tennessee. Now, don't limit your eyes to Tennessee. Okay, don't have it in your brain that you're only going to see him in Tennessee if he is still alive, because he could be anywhere. It has been almost 2.5 months, you guys, and this child has disappeared without a trace. Now, we have no confirmation on the new photos being Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. So please, if you think that you see him, immediately dial 911. 911. All right. Now we've got to quit bouncing back and forth between the two cases, um, because we're not going to get anything covered with that. But I will be posting again, or low 12, if you wouldn't mind, my dear, posting my email address again. If anyone needs flyers, if anyone would like to help post flyers, and at this point, I think we should be posting flyers anywhere. I don't care if you live in Canada. I don't care if you live in Hawaii. I don't care if you live in Florida or Oregon or Massachusetts or California or Idaho or Arkansas or Missouri or Nevada, Arizona. I do not care what state you live in. If you are willing to go out and put up missing flyers for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, low 12, if you would post my email, if I could get my email all popped up right real quick. I personally, all I need you to do is send me an email. The subject, flyers. It does not have to be your address. You can send me a P.O. box and I will send you flyers to put up to help search for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. I will print them out myself, put them in an envelope, a yellow file envelope, and send them to you personally if you are willing to do this. And anyone willing to do this, I appreciate it so much. And I know that Sebastian's family will as well. Because the thing we have to do is keep his face and his story alive. And if you see something, say something. Because that's how we're going to bring Sebastian home. Okay? Knowledge is power. Exactly, low 12. Exactly. Hey, Mama Bear of 3. Good to see you, beautiful. Nana's Dragonfly. Hey, I'm glad you made it. It's so good to see you all. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Regina, if could I just say one thing?
Yes.
I would also encourage people to um, email email the flyer of Sebastian to local news stations, and it doesn't need to be in Tennessee. It can be again in any state. Um, the newspapers along the Blue Ridge Parkway. There's several campsites, RV sites, lodges. You know, get um, these flyers to them, at least one, so they can post it in their break room if for whatever reason he's seen on the property somewhere. Um, I just think I did it. I emailed a few campsites the other night and a local news station and a newspaper his flyer and just saying, "Hey, have you seen Sebastian?" And I may not get responses, but if nothing else, they printed that off and they put it in an employee break room. So the people that work at these campgrounds or if they see him, it gets his face out there. Because, I mean, let's face it, when people are camping, they're not always following what's going on in the world. They're camping to get away from reality. So,
Also, another place that is very good to post these flyers and stuff and get this word out. If you can print them yourself, if you can't, like I said, email me. All you have to do is give me an address to send the flyers to. It don't even have to be your address, just somewhere where you can get the mail from to receive the flyers. Okay. But another good place to put these flyers is Walmart. Walmart literally has a whole wall as when you enter the store dedicated to missing persons. You can
hmm
walk up to that board and pin a flyer on there or tape it on there, and no one will ask you any questions or harass you or anything. Also, most police departments, well, we already know they're up in, the police departments, but police departments will let you post them. Whenever you enter into their lobbies, most of them have a wall for missing children and stuff, missing folks. Um, There is the link for the flyer if you would like to be able to print them out yourself. Like I said, if you do not have the ability to print them and you would like to be able to have the flyers to post and spread in your town, um, to do that. Also, something else I would like to tell everyone, don't use staples and don't post flyers to uh, poles that are attached to high wires and stuff like that, because whenever you do that, they ask you not to, because it makes it difficult whenever there's power outages and stuff for them to be able to climb up those poles with their what are they called, crates, the shoes, the special shoes with the cleats, the cleats they use. It makes it hard for them to climb up the poles whenever there's power outages and stuff, and it takes more time for them to deal with. And that's actually been posted in the public before not to do that. But every
Even in
store, Dollar
yeah.
Generals, I mean, every campground, anywhere you can think to post a flyer is important to post a flyer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and again, we do have the phone lines open at 1-870-266-6949 if you would like to call in. We do still have the phone lines open. However, we have been live for almost 2 hours, and I mean almost 3 hours now. In 20 minutes, we're coming up at the 3 hour mark. So at this time, um, I would like to completely shift focus if that's okay. Because I said I would cover Suzanne Morphew today a little bit better. So we're gonna do that. Um, as you all know, she has been recovered. Um,
Do you want to
and the
give a quick
autopsy.
do you want to give a quick recap of what happened? Just a brief synopsis of her.
Yes, ma'am. That's actually what I'm doing
Oops,
right
sorry.
now.
Sorry.
No, you're great. That's actually very important. So, we have Susan Morphew, mother who went missing on bike ride, died by homicide, autopsy has revealed. Husband Barry Morphew was charged in her death, but those charges were later dropped. And that was before her body was recovered. So we have Susan Morphew, the Colorado mom who went missing on a bike ride in May 2020, died by homicide, according to an autopsy released Monday. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation said in a statement her death was determined to have been caused by homicide by undetermined means in the setting of butorphanol as a perone and pediotamidin. Boy, these are some words I don't even know. Petitomidine intoxication, according to her autopsy. These drugs are marked as a compound injectable chemical immobilizer for wildlife, according to the autopsy from the there I go again, from the El Paso Country Coroner. And she was missing for 3 years, you guys, before her remains were found. Okay. There was no indication of trauma to her body at the time of her death, according to reports. Barry Morphew, Susan's husband, was charged with her murder in 2021, but those charges were dropped in April 2022, just before a trial was supposed to begin. No one has been arrested in the case since. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation and our law enforcement partners understand and appreciate the public interest surrounding this case. CBI Director Chris Schaefer said, I hope I said that right, said in a statement Monday, the investigative team assembles to work this case assembled to work this case continues to follow the evidence and only the evidence as we seek justice for Suzanne's death. Her body was found on September 2023 while investigators, whoa, her body was found in September 2023 while investigators were searching in an unrelated case. Her remains were found in Moffat, Colorado, and Sagwash. How do you pronounce that? Sagwashi?
I can't help you because I can't see it. It's too small.
Oh, let me make this bigger. I think it's Sagwashi County. Saguache County. Uh,
Just ask for get forgiveness if you pronounced it the wrong way.
Saguache is the county, and I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of it. About 90 miles south of where she lived in Chaffee County. For the past 4 years, the Morphews have agonized over Suzanne's disappearance. The Morphew family said in a statement from their lawyer, this included not only the pain of the loss of their wife and mother, but also the false accusations and prosecution of Barry Morphew. Um, the Morphews have prayed the authorities would remove their blinders and not only find Suzanne, but find the suspect responsible for her disappearance and murder. However, the Morphews are left with more questions than answers and a lack of justice for Suzanne, the family, and the community. In addition to her clothes, the autopsy notes a weathered bullet was found with her remains. Oh my goodness. More, Suzanne Morphews and husbands speak for the first time since filing a lawsuit. I wonder how far that lawsuit's going to go now that she has been found with these tranquilizers.
Well, I'm sure it's on hold at the moment, if nothing less. At least it's on hold.
Right. Um, Barry and the couple's adult daughters, Mary and Mallory, also accused investigators of not telling them whether they tested the bullet or the clothing for any DNA evidence. Barry and his daughters spoke to ABC News in May 2023 after they filed a lawsuit against prosecutors saying he was wrongfully charged. They've got tunnel vision and they looked at the one person that and they've got way too much pride to say they're wrong and look elsewhere. Morphew said at the time, I don't have anything to worry about. I've done nothing wrong. I don't know, Barry. I would be pretty concerned if if I said that I just had those cartridges for those tranquilizers in my laundry for hunting deer after my wife disappeared, and now my wife has been found, and all of these tranquilizers have been found in her system. I would be very concerned. What do you ladies
Well,
think about that?
I would be concerned too if I was him, definitely. Um, even like just if say he didn't do it, he's got to know that this is coming. You know what I mean? Either way, I would be shaking in my boots if I was him. Although I do, in my opinion, think that his goose is cooked. But
What I'm curious to know is I have to go back and I have to look over the original documents from the dismissal of the case because I want to know if the case was dismissed with prejudice or not. Because if it hasn't been dismissed with prejudice, they can in fact
yeah,
recharge him
they it was dismissed without prejudice.
without prejudice, which means he is still able to be brought up on charges for this.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm saying he's probably preparing. He'd be a fool not to be preparing.
I have a feeling. Uh, Hey, Low 12, that's not allegedly that he used the tranquilizers to hunt. That's his own words. That's his own statements. That's what he told police. Let me find it real quick. He's also admitted that he shot the tranquilizer gun. Okay, I actually have it right here. I'm pulling it up right now to share with all. So, um, oh, let me grab you real quick, Sammy, again. So
Okay.
here is
Um,
the
I
article.
would hold on a minute. Hold on a minute, because what I want to say is this: like looking at this case, I'm not super familiar with it. I haven't done a lot of exploring, but I want to look at victimology here because we have to make sure that something else couldn't possibly be playing a role, in this her fate.
I'm sorry, say that again. My sound dropped for a minute there.
I want to look first of all when I start looking into cases and look at this one. I would like to look at the victimology first of all because it would help you it would help give you a basis for you know what other people or what other things could have played a role in her fate, and victimology is vital.
Okay. So I have Barry's own statements that he actually made right here about this. I'm telling you right now, I shot 2 deer with my trank gun because I used it to raise deer and I collect horns. And I'll tell you exactly what I did, he said. According to the affidavit, which would be his own sworn testimony that was attached to the affidavit to be presented to the judge. Okay. Um, he said, according to an affidavit filed in the dropped murder case, they're in the yard. I shoot them and they go to sleep. I cut their horns off and I wake them up and they go off with no horns on their heads. He told investigators he was afraid of getting in trouble with wildlife officials for the practice, which is why he hadn't mentioned it earlier. He said he tranquilized the deer instead of poaching them, that is, killing them without following wildlife regulations. Now, I'm going to have to do some, oh my goodness, you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh. In April 2021, Morphew told investigators that he uses what is known as a BAM formulation, a mixture of the three drugs found in Susan Morphew's bones to sedate deer. He told investigators he bought the chemicals in Indiana and kept them on his workbench in vials. He said he mixed the chemicals into darts himself rather than using a licensed veterinarian, according to the affidavit. When investigators asked whether he could mix the tranquilizers without help from anyone, he said, yep, yeah, absolutely. Um, Investigators didn't find any BAM formulation or tranquilizers in Barry Matthews' home after his wife disappeared. He got rid of them all, except
Too
for,
much suspicion. Yep.
yep, this is too much. He's buried himself. Like, in my opinion, he has honestly buried himself with this one.
Well, and
Wow.
like I said earlier, I was listening to some doctor that was talking. Actually, it wasn't a doctor; it was a veterinarian talking about the different levels that were in her system, and what the effects that they would do to her, or anyone. Um, and for example, I once had a patient that was ill and
Mm-hmm.
decided to self medicate themselves with, um, they they were having some swelling. So they thought, well, I'll take some of my dog's steroids. And prednisone, the prednisone that's for animals versus humans is very different. The components are different. Um, and because this man chose to give himself those, he really screwed himself up. He was in the hospital for like 6 weeks over that because of the self medication. So being shot with a tranquilizer that's loaded with 3 different drugs, and you're playing chemist and making these concoctions yourself, I mean, the survival rate is slim. So if it was his gun, his darts, his, I mean, it was in her system. That's why the autopsy for me is just really, it just clarifies things for me more so than it did before, because I still had doubts before. I was like, but to me, this just
The
seals the
Yeah,
fact,
deal.
it looks so suspect on him. I mean, I I I would be I just can't I can't get over it. I cannot get over it. It just sounds like his goose is cooked.
well, let me play this for you. I'm gonna let y'all hear it real quick. So here we go.
Here's what Barry Morphew told investigators about his tranquilizer gun. Nearly 4 years after Suzanne Morphew disappeared from her Chaffee County home, the discovery that she died with animal tranquilizers in her body has refocused attention on her husband's use of such tranquilizers, an issue that has been woven into the investigation from the beginning. During a search of the Morphews' home after Suzanne's 2020 disappearance, law enforcement officials reported finding a tranquilizer dart gun, empty darts, and a dart package that included a cap needle typically used for injecting tranquilizer chemicals into the darts, according to court testimony. They also found a cap used to cover such needles in the clothes dryer at the house. Suzanne's husband, 56-year-old Barry Morphew, spoke extensively with investigators before he was charged with his wife's murder in May 2021. The charges were dropped in 2022, and he maintains his innocence in his wife's death. The investigation into Suzanne's homicide is ongoing, and no one currently faces charges in her death. Here's what Barry Morphew told investigators in interviews over the years about his tranquilizer gun, darts, and chemicals, according to a 131-page affidavit filed against him in testimony from a 4-day 2021 preliminary hearing in the dropped murder case. Plus, an expert weighs in on the basics of the drug mix found in Suzanne's body. What the BAM formulation is, how it works, and what it might do to the human body. Barry Morphew first told investigators on May 28, 2020, that he kept darts in his home in order to tranquilize deer, transport the animals and sell them, though he said he'd only done so in Indiana, not in Colorado. Months later, in March 2021, Morphew told investigators he used the darts to shoot and tranquilize deer so that he could cut off their antlers, and said that he might have tranquilized 2 deer at his home in Colorado in late April. He said authorities would find spent darts around his property. I'm telling you right now, I've shot 2 deer with my tranq gun, 'cause I used to raise deer, and I collect horns, and I'll tell you exactly what I did, he said, according to an affidavit filed in the dropped murder case. They're in the yard. I shoot 'em, and they go to sleep. I cut their horns off, and I wake 'em up, and they go off with no horns on their head. He told investigators he was afraid of getting in trouble with wildlife officials for the practice, which is why he hadn't mentioned it earlier. He said he tranquilized the deer instead of poaching them, that is, killing them without following wildlife regulations. In April 2021, Morphew told investigators that he uses what's known as the BAM formulation, a mixture of the three drugs found in Suzanne Morphew's bones, to sedate deer. He told investigators he bought the chemicals in Indiana and kept them on his workbench in vials. He said he mixed the chemicals into darts himself, rather than using a licensed veterinarian, according to the affidavit. When investigators asked whether he could mix the tranquilizer without help from anyone, he said, "Yeah, absolutely." Investigators didn't find any BAM formulation or tranquilizers in Barry Morphew's home after his wife disappeared. An investigator asked Morphew in April 2021 whether he might have thrown those tranquilizers away in one of the 5 trash runs he made in and around Broomfield on May 10, 2020. The day his wife was reported missing. Could have been, Morphew said. Barry Morphew admitted to investigators in March 2021 that it looked a little suspicious that a tranquilizer needle cap was found in the dryer. "Because it looks like if I did something, and ripped the sheet, and got blood on them and ripped 'em off and washed 'em, to me, looking at it through a detective's eyes, that would look a little suspicious," he said. Investigators initially found clothes and bedsheets in the dryer and collected those items. A sheriff's deputy discovered the needle cap in the dryer days later when he returned to swab the dryer to check for blood, according to court testimony. During the March 2021 interview, Morphew said he was confident there was no evidence on the sheets. "I'm just being open with you," he said. Obviously, things line up against me, coincidentally, or for some reason. I mean, I look back and see some things that happened and like, gosh, that makes me, why would God allow those things in the situation, to make me look, like the sheets, the bed unmade, During a separate interview in April 2021, Morphew said he had no idea how the tranquilizer needle cap got into the dryer. He denied using the tranquilizer gun on May 9, 2020, the day his wife was last known to be alive. "It's got nothing to do with me," he said, adding, "I hate that, because, it makes me look bad." Morphew's attorney, Iris Eiton, has since said that the tranquilizer gun was broken when authorities discovered it after Suzanne Morphew's disappearance, and she screened body camera footage in court that showed Chaffee County Sheriff's deputies stating they didn't believe a tranquilizer gun found in Morphew's gun safe functioned. Barry Morphew told investigators in April 2021 that he sometimes shot deer in the backyard from his back door. He later also admitted he sometimes shot the tranquilizer gun from that little breezeway from between the garage and the laundry room. The investigators noted that the breezeway is located close to an area where Suzanne Morphew was last known to be alive, sunbathing behind their home. She sent a selfie to her paramour after 2 p.m. on May 2020, and that photo is the last time investigators can prove that she was alive. Barry Morphew put his phone into airplane mode at 2:47 p.m. that day, and Suzanne Morphew never responded to messages from her paramour sent at 2:44 and 2:46 p.m., investigators have said. Investigators asked Barry Morphew if he'd ever missed a shot with his tranquilizer gun during the April 2021 interview. "A deer? Oh no," he said. "No, I used to raise deer, I've shot hundreds." He told investigators he would revive the deer after tranquilizing them by giving the animals a reversal shot. But he couldn't remember if he had any of that reversal drug at his house. Butorphanol, azapirone and medetomidine, a combination of drugs used to tranquilize large animals such as elk, deer, black bear and wild pigs. Butorphanol is a derivative of morphine and common in veterinary practices, but is not used for humans, said Dr. Pedro Boscan, a veterinarian and anesthesia professor at Colorado State University. Azapirone once was used as an antipsychotic treatment for people and has no veterinarian usage except in the BAM formulation. Finally, medetomidine was once a common drug used in veterinary practices, but has been replaced in more recent years with a more efficient drug. The drug formulation is considered a Schedule 4 narcotic by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency and is tightly controlled, Boscan said. Examples of other Schedule 4 drugs include Xanax, Valium, and Ambien. Most veterinarian practices will not have it, and anyone wanting it would need to order it from a specialized animal pharmacy. It's typically not available to someone outside the veterinarian or wildlife management fields, Boscan said. The DEA requires close tracking of the drug, requiring documentation of who buys it, how much and when, and record keeping that tracks who uses it, how and when. I'm surprised that a civilian with no medical background, no biology background, no license would have that drug on hand, Boscan said. No. There have been no studies to determine how lethal the drug combination would be to a person, Boscan said. But it likely would kill a human, especially a dose intended to tranquilize a large animal, such as an elk. If you're actually going to trap a wild deer and you need to immobilize the wild deer, it will immediately fall asleep, he said. In a human, I would imagine it would push them over. Boscan said he was surprised the drug was detected in Suzanne Morphew's bones at all, let alone 3 years after her death. If a person dies after being hit with a dart full of BAM, that person's heart would stop and there would be no time for the drug to be carried through the body and absorbed through the bones. It is unclear how long a person with BAM in their system would need to remain alive for the drug to be absorbed into the bones, he said. Sign up to get crime news sent straight to your inbox each day.
Hello? Are you muted?
Yes,
I
I
think
was
she
muted.
is.
Thank you. Hey, Tattooed Angel, it's good to see you, lovely. Yes, and we have Tattooed Rebels link in chat. You guys go join up. Um, he covers true crime, also does um real fun. Don't forget to join up because he has amazing game nights. I love Tattooed Rebels game nights. It's so good to see you. Um, so there you have it, you guys. Barry Morphew himself has incriminated himself with all of the tranquilizer stuff. And I am interested in seeing how this scientifically plays out with her having so much of the tranquilizers in her bone marrow, because that's where you obtain DNA and test with bones is from the marrow that's left in them. So I am very interested to know and get a scientific perspective from experts on that. What do you guys think?
Well, I think the fact that they found it in her bones 3.5 years later is telling alone about the dose being an extreme amount. We're just going off the assumption that she was shot once. There's nothing that's saying wasn't shot more than once.
Well, it sounds like his goose is cooked to me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, I mean, yeah.
I mean, but for me, like I said, when the autopsy was released and it validated everything that they thought that they had before, or their not their what they had, but their theory of what happened based off of her phone and her health app on her phone and her footsteps and the route that they were taking. I mean, there's just it all lines up for me. But I mean, I don't know what else they have or don't have, but phew, it's not
Um,
looking good.
can I ask you something in hindsight with everything that Barry has said and everything in this civil suit and what have you? do you think that he in trying to make himself look innocent and have all these explanations and reasons and claiming that it was false accusations against him and stuff and making all these statements, do you think that it's helped bury him essentially? I do, but what do you think? Do you think that this is all going to backfire in his face trying to pursue these civil litigations against law enforcement and everyone? Do you think that the information that has come out in these civil suits is going to play a role in his conviction, which I believe there will be, allegedly?
Oh, I absolutely think so. Because when he's telling it, like, oh, I used to shoot the deer and they'd fall asleep and I'd cut the horns off and then they would get up and run. Um, it's almost like he was, and oh, you're bound to find those all over my property. I mean, he was just setting himself up in case that part did come out, I think. In case she ever was found or why they, you know, had that cap to that. I just think it was all trying to make everything fit, make his narrative fit around what they had in their theory. And I think
Well,
it will bite him.
in his original statements, I do believe he said he had only shot deer in Indiana with the tranquilizer guns. And then he come back to say, "Oh no, I've shot two deer. Um, I've shot two deer in Colorado. You'll find the cartridges in the yard." I
Right.
mean,
Convenient.
very convenient, correct? Very convenient. So if anyone wants to call in, um you might want to get your call in now because we're going to end the stream soon. Um we're going to get final thoughts in. No, tattooed angel, they have not found Sebastian, sadly. So sadly they have not, that I'm aware of. If so, it has broken since we have been live. um did y'all want to get any final thoughts in on either of these cases?
Mm. Sammy, you want to go
Sammy,
first?
Crystal?
Well, as far as Sebastian goes, I just am so disappointed. I feel like so many people dropped the ball in this right from the start, all the way to this most recent picture. And there's no information being put out at all whatsoever as far as updates or anything. I'm truly saddened and disappointed as far as Sebastian Rogers being found. I'm just, it's mortifying to think. It just looks like it means so little. I can't help it. That's how I feel. As far as this other with the Suzanne Morphew, well, I think his goose is cooked.
Mhm.
I agree with that. I agree. He's cooked. I think his own statements have been damning. Now that she's been found and the autopsy has revealed that she had high doses of the tranquilizers he was allegedly making and had in his possession. I think that he has, and especially with the civil suit and all this, I think that was for clout. Like, you know what I mean? I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think he has, what's the old proverbial saying, shot himself in the foot. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think for me that it all lines up. I think that um again, I feel very sad for the daughters because they've been grieving the loss of their mother, and now if their father's convicted of that, if I'm not saying he will be, but if they have to not only grieve the loss of their father but also grieve the fact that he would be convicted of taking their mother away. So that to me is very sad. And then um I just think that it's probably one of the most clear cut cases as far as any of the other cases that we've looked at recently within the last year. Like all these other cases are so complicated and they have twists and turns and just, I don't know. Um, and for the Sebastian case, I would just like to see focus go back on Sebastian again. Um, when you're out and about, if you see somebody that resembles, call 911. Even if you question it, I mean, err on the side of caution. It might not be him, but, like this past sighting, if it truly was, now we've lost time. So it's almost like we're starting over again looking for him. If he was in fact alive and that was taken, which I hope that he is. I believe that he is out there. And I also believe that people in the area, in the state, the surrounding states, city, towns, um, look around, when people come into town, come in your stores, come in your little restaurants, somebody you see at Walmart, um, post flyers, post flyers at work, at campgrounds. I mean, send emails. There's so much that can be done, but we can't give up searching for him. And to me, that's the main goal, is finding
Amen. I
Sebastian.
agree. I completely agree. In the end, that is all that matters is finding Sebastian. That is what matters, finding Sebastian. And I think that there is hope whenever people like Suzanne Morphew are found. I think there is hope whenever missing children are found alive. Um, and I think that we need to hang on to that hope. And always, if you see something, say something. Don't wait. Don't stop and take pictures and this, that, or the other. The first thing you need to do if you think that you have seen or are seeing a child that has been missing is call 911. Before you make any other decision to do anything else, dial 911. And we are praying for the safe return of Sebastian Rogers, and we are praying for justice for Suzanne Morphew. Was there anything else you ladies would like to add to that?
I'd just like to say, remember, share a smile, save a life. Kindness matters. And it makes you feel better. It makes you feel good inside doing nice things for someone else. And it's as easy as just smiling at someone.
Amen. Anything else you'd like to add, Sammy?
No, I just want to tell everyone have a good night. Be careful out there. Keep your eyes peeled.
Amen. All right, ladies, I will catch y'all in yes, exactly, will that pay it forward. I will catch you guys in the Discord, and you guys this week be looking for it. Later this week we are going to have a members only Discord so that everyone who is a member, um you know what, I might just open it up to all subscribers too. I think I will. I'll open it up to everyone that wants to talk true crime chat. There will be rules and regulations, and everything, and those who violate will be removed from the server swiftly and abruptly. There will be no discussing or talking about it. Um, so whenever I post the link for the new Discord, take time to read the rules and regulations, because certain things will not be tolerated. And it's going to be an open uh, discussion of true crime. So, with that said, Sammy and Crystal, thank you so much for being here with me tonight. And thank you to everyone who tuned in with us tonight. And again, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And it's free 99, y'all. Free 99. Won't cost you a thing. And again, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Well, at Harris, I've already been removed twice for Gina means business. I love you, Walt. Walt. I love you, Walt. You're awesome. Um, but you have been reformed of a troll and have changed your ways, and now you're a moderator, and we appreciate you. Thanks to our moderators, Kel, Page, Low 12, Midwest, um, Willette Harris, and everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night, Crystal. Good night, Sammy. I love you guys.
Good night. Love you both.
Good
Sweet
night.
dreams.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye. And you guys, as always, remember to lock your doors and stay vigilant. If you see something, say something. You could be the difference. You could be the difference. Anything you see and report could be the difference in solving a case or bringing a missing person home. And remember, kindness is free. A simple smile might even save a life. And it costs so much to stay angry and hate. So always share a little love and maybe even save someone's life with a simple act of kindness. And with that said, blessings and good night.